Police or the OSP or any investigating agency in this country. And I expect that if they muster the courage to report that I have extorted from them and I am invited, I shall submit myself to every investigation so that eventually my name is cleared. There is, Mr. Speaker, there is a limit to political discourse. There are lines that must not be crossed, and these red lines, once crossed, they must be dealt with.
The motion they have filed, which was received in my office on the 21st of August, 2026, just 3 days ago. 3 days ago, that it got to my office. I have gone through the motion myself, and I intend to admit the motion because we have to at least have an end to litigation. As to whether it's a loss or it's a cost, this House will have the opportunity to go through it. And please, Ghanaians are very intelligent people. They will listen, they will read in between the lines, and they will make their decisions.
Let's move away from Parliament because a key suspect in the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence, Ernest Akomia, popularly known as Double, remains at large, with the police actively pursuing him to face justice. The Interior Minister, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, speaking at the Government Accountability Series, said the state has made significant progress in addressing electoral violence related to the 2020 and 2024 elections.
The Ayawaso West Wogon by-election held on January 31, 2019 was marred by violence at the Labaoleshi Presby polling station, where masked men linked to national security assaulted and shot several people. Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak says the police will continue to pursue all other suspects and support the prosecution of those already before the courts.
Since the submission of the last report, further progress has been made in the investigation across all the cases investigated so far. A total of 26 suspects have been put before the court. One has since been discharged, while 25 are currently standing trial. Of these two additional suspects, James Kojo Ousu alias Kudos and Kwame Edutum alias Hardman have since been arrested in connection with the lynching of the late Jacob Nlo. In addition, 13 other suspects identified as being connected to the cases are being pursued to assist with the investigation. The police will continue to pursue all outstanding suspects and support the prosecution of those already before the court.
In December 2025, the Interior Minister ordered a police investigation into allegations that the Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabing had survived 2 assassination attempts. 8 months down the line, there appears to be no progress.
The OSP and the assault and the investigation. Yes, I wrote to the CID. In fact, last week I had to ask the IGP where we are with it, and they promised that they are coming up with a report. So I'm sure once they bring the report, we'll let it be public, because I wrote officially demanding that they investigate and report.
The government continues to grapple with the influx of illegal migrants, especially from the Far East. The Interior Minister says the government will not relent in its crackdown.
We also have a duty to protect our borders, maintain public order, and safeguard our national security and economic interests. By the end of 2025, the Ghana Immigration Service has removed 2,281 migrant beggars on our streets and 774 other illegal immigrants involved in transnational organized crime. We are pursuing this removal fully conscious of Ghana's obligation under the ECOWAS Protocol on free movement of persons, as well as the diplomatic relations and long-standing ties we and other countries have.
He also hinted that government has seized about 6.9 million cedis and $440,000 in cash linked to people suspected of involvement in illegal drug trafficking.
The Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, is calling for sweeping reforms to political party and campaign financing, including spending and donation limits, as well as mandatory disclosure of major donors. It is also pushing for financial reporting by candidates and tougher sanctions against vote buying and illicit funding.
Running for political office in Ghana is increasingly an expensive undertaking. Candidates must finance campaigns, publicity, transportation, mobilization, and party activity, sometimes long before the official election itself. But beyond the rise in costs is a more fundamental question. Where does the money come from? How much is being spent? And what does the financier expect in return? The Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, identifies vote buying, unregulated candidate financing, abuse of state resources, and funding from both legitimate and potentially illicit sources as some of the major vulnerabilities in Ghana's political finance system. And the consequences could extend beyond elections. The center warns that expensive politics can exclude women, young people, and persons with disabilities, while increasing the influence of wealthy financiers over elected officials. It says this would create incentives for politicians to recover campaign expenditure through public contracts and state resources.
A lot of our issues are coming from the monetization of politics. The more money that you have to put in getting elected, the more money that you want to take from the state.
Ghana's Constitution and the Political Parties Act already regulate aspects of party financing. Political parties are required to submit financial returns and audited accounts, while foreign financing of political parties is prohibited. But significant gaps remain. There is no comprehensive election campaign financing regime, no legally defined campaign period, no general spending ceiling or contribution limit, no recruitment for the disclosure of donors, no requirement for the disclosure of donors above a specified threshold. It is against this background that the Ghana Center for Democratic Development has developed a draft model political finance law. The proposed law would require candidates to operate designated campaign accounts, disclose contributions and expenditure, and submit their finances to audit, amongst others.
There will be reporting requirements. 3 months after an election, there will be an electronic publication of the money that they receive, so you can have visibility. In order to deal with the problem of capture of a candidate, the idea is to cap it to not more than 5%, to limit a capture of. Anonymous donations may be allowed, but up to a certain threshold.
President Mahama is calling for a smarter and more responsive health regulation across Africa, warning that regulatory systems must evolve with the needs of the people to deliver safer and better health care. He made the call at the 28th Annual Conference of the Association of Medical Council of Africa, where health regulators and practitioners are examining gaps and seeking long-term solutions.
Health regulators and practitioners from across Africa have gathered to develop innovative and sustainable approaches to strengthen healthcare regulation and improve patient safety. The conference seeks to strengthen regulatory systems across the continent and promote safer, more accessible and responsive healthcare. President Mahama says the answer is not more regulation, but better regulation, with regulators knowing when to correct, intervene, and sanction.
Regulation cannot remain static. It must be responsive. It must be firm. It must be fair. It must be protective and enabling. And it must be grounded in our African reality. But it must be informed by global knowledge. Responsive regulation is not simply about regulating more. It is about regulating better. It is about knowing when to guide, when to support, when to correct, and when to sanction.
Chairman of the Medical and Dental Council of Ghana, Professor Ajiman Bedu Akosa, says Ghana is committed to promoting excellence and professionalism in healthcare delivery.
You have got to regulate the training of health professionals. You have got to hold them accountable in their practice. You also have got to make sure that they keep up abreast with knowledge throughout their years of practice. And so it makes regulation absolutely vital.
Registrar and CEO of the Medical and Dental Council of Ghana, Dr. Divine Undobi Banyubala, says regulation must be fair, transparent, and accountable.
Our commitment as regulators is to ensure that whilst practitioners may cross borders, patient safety must not be left behind. It must cross when practitioners cross. And that will lead us into having a conversation around having an African-wide data infrastructure so that we can have a mechanism where we can quickly verify, authenticate, doctors.
Former WHO Deputy Director General, Dr. Anafi Asamoah Ba, says regulators must move from being seen as obstacles to becoming active partners.
Health systems face not only inadequate resources, but also wastage and inefficiency. A substantial amount of healthcare expenditure is lost through unnecessary interventions, duplications, inefficient processes, and inappropriate use of resources. The UAC agenda is therefore not simply about putting in more money into health and removing financial barriers. It must also be about value for money, efficiency, ethical stewardship of resources, and accountability.
Under the theme, Responsive Regulations for Safer Communities Towards Universal Health Coverage, the 3-day conference is focused on reshaping regulation to meet Africa's changing healthcare needs. Beatrice Sowa, TV3 News, Accra.
We move to the camp of the NPP because the General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong Kodia, has filed his nomination to contest the party's upcoming national executive elections. He's calling on the party members to rally behind his candidature as he seeks to help reposition the NPP for victory in the 2028 general elections.
Justin Frimpong Kodia was flanked by party loyalists as he presented his nomination forms at the NPP's national headquarters. He was joined by former regional executives and former party secretaries who expressed their support for his bid and pledged to vote to retain him as general secretary. The NPP has scheduled October 3 for the election of its national executives. Speaking after filing his nomination, Justin Kodia reaffirmed his commitment to working closely with the NPP's flag bearer, Dr. Muhammad Baumia, to secure victory for the party in 2028.
And I can assure you that indeed we have a general secretary who works comfortably with the flag bearer. We have a general secretary who has a good working relationship with the office of the flag bearer. In order for us to continue to ensure that cordiality, there is the non-negotiable need for us to maintain the general secretary of our party.
The General Secretary is therefore appealing to delegates to renew their confidence in him as he seeks another term to lead the party's administration ahead of the 2028 polls.
That's all the time we have here on News Morning. For more stories and updates, don't forget to check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Christabel Success Trevor. Thanks for watching. The rest of the Newday team, I'm standby. Don't go away.
they're declared dead officially. But I mean, for people who are hoping that for some reason there'll be a miracle and he might appear, I guess we'll say that he's still not been found.
I can't believe how much time has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah, time has
it's
passed.
gone by really fast.
It's a very sad incident.
Yeah.
Very
confusing incident also. How it happened.
Yeah.
Very bizarre.
It still doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And for the families of Castro and Janice Bandu, who was the young woman who was with him, I'm sure they'll never get closure, because at least it's better to see the body and know that, okay, this person has passed and I've buried the person. But in this case, where you're not sure what happened, you don't know if they're still alive or not, it's very worrying.
Wow.
But yeah, we pray for their souls.
But this is a good song.
Very good song, I must say.
Very inspirational.
Yeah, yeah, very good
Castro, a
song.
very good musician we've missed. If
Yeah.
you take a look. Of course, we now we have the Kiddies, Kwame Eugene, etc., Black Holes, of course, and but it still doesn't make up for the loss as well. Very good musician in his own right.
Well, it's a new day.
Yeah,
And
certainly.
even though we Bella has plunged us into a very solemn mood this morning.
I mean,
just a
but
reminder.
every time I hear his song, I think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for all of us, actually.
Yeah.
It's not something that we'll be able to get over. You mentioned the family, but even for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Every time we hear his music, we
You
will
still
remember
feel it.
him. And his
But
music is timeless.
It is.
Like this one.
But you see, for us, it's usually when we hear his music.
Yes.
For his family, every single day, every second, they're probably thinking about it, that, so what happened to this person? Where's this person? Did they die? Where are they? You know, are they missing? Did they find themselves? Sometimes I want to think that they probably found themselves somewhere else in this world, probably lost their memory, and so they don't remember much. But even that, in the age of social media and technology,
someone would have seen
them, or they would have probably gone online and seen a picture that looks like them or something. So it's a very difficult situation. But yeah, we still pray for them.
I guess we just have to take some solace in the theme of the song.
Yes.
And it says that God is always available to all of us, present when we want to call on Him and seek some refuge with Him. He would always be available for us.
Absolutely.
So that'll be the notes after which this solemn prayer from all of us, because of the theme of the song, and then the man himself, who was very instrumental in composing and singing and making this a hit as well. We have to start all this. We have to say welcome to the show. And again, the issue is just will not go away. It promises to be a very long week. We know that Apenyo Makin, the minority leader, not only addressing Parliament, but also in that address, making that speech in Parliament, also announced that he has filed 2 different suits and join alongside, well, we also have 2 media houses as well. So very prominent. Promises to be quite a long week. It will climax by Saturday when we have the morning programming, socio-political key points, etc., right here on TV3. So we'll bring you all the insights. And you're discussing that, Angie.
Yes, we are. In actual fact, he's asking for 15 million Ghana cedis. He says that it's, as damages, of course. His reputation has been impugned. And beyond the figure that he has quoted, he's also stating that on that same platform where the CEO of Gold Board made those allegations and described him as an extortionist, in quotes, he wants him to go back on that same platform, retract, and apologize in the same vein that he made that statement. And he's also asking that the court also forces Sammy James-Fee to adduce evidence to support that statement that he made with regards to, his extortion claims. And so let's see how it goes, because Sammy James-Fee also says he will put out evidence if the time comes. So now it's a matter of who is going to put out what.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I guess we wait.
And the OSP has
certainly. Has also weighed
in taking note of these extortion allegations, and I think they received about 2 petitions on the matter. 3 petitions now. Yes, on the matter. So it is going to be a long week. I look forward to the discussion in studio. But sometimes I've seen comments say, all of this is not necessary. Let's focus on what matters. But some of these things are important for our democracy, for us to see that, okay, this is what we have called on the OSP to do, to investigate corruption allegations and like matters. And also, Afenyomakin is a citizen of this country. He is allowed to go to the courts when he has an issue with any citizen. As much as possible, I saw a debate online yesterday during Ghana Tonight, saying that these matters, these political discussions often take away from governance, things that we ought to be paying attention to. But I think among other things, it's good to see that the structures we've put in place, for example, the Office of the Special Prosecutor working. And so we wait to see how all of this will pan out in the coming week. And yes, key points is always the place at the end of the week, after a week-long series of discussions where usually the matter comes to rest or we see how the matter has traveled properly. So it promises to be a long week.
Yeah.
Well,
certainly. I think that also when you look at the tail end of that statement by the Office of the Special Prosecutor and that they posted on his socials, you also get an indication that they're trying to find out whether after those investigations, the veracity of those allegations really fall within their statutory mandate as well. So that also should be a cue that we need to take from that. And the question then will be, for the lawyers will say whether it's just hearsay or really these are issues and matters of fact for which you need to get into detail into. So I guess, well, it's all up for discussion in the public domain. But I think that the steps taken so far are in the right stead. The Speaker also says that he's admitting the motions. And so it makes the workings of Parliament and the floor itself, and then the discussions themselves quite interesting for those who are interested in how Parliament works, and then the subject matters involving some of these key figures, particularly the minority leader, who has been a long-standing member of Parliament. He's been a businessman of repute on his own, and then comes into the political fray as leading the MPP side of the opposition in Parliament, particularly. And it's quite interesting, though, all the individuals who are in the leadership of the MPP minority in Parliament who have thrown their support behind their leader to know that he has the support of the leadership, and even adding that he went to visit and then confer with the presidential candidate of the MPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to send a signal to the rank and file, not only the top leadership, but also what we call the grassroots. Even though we don't have grassroots anymore, we just have the membership and the rank and file of the party, that the top echelons of the party is behind him, and they say he should pursue. So we'll see how that goes.
Continue to hold their feet to
I don't
the
know
fire.
which of them is hot, whether it's a minority leader or Sahina Afenyomakin who is hot, or it's Sami Gyamfi.
I know. I'm just finding out that he's actually called Sami Gyamfi as well.
And then also the gold board as well. But I think there are two strong figures in Ghana's political landscape, and that is why this has generated the keen interest from all stakeholders. And I think that it's important that we do that. I'm sure 10 years from now, we'll be recalling some of these incidents and
the showdown
outcome.
Exactly.
Yes. It's unfortunate.
This is a showdown.
It's unfortunate that Kenny Japan hasn't been speaking for the MPP these days. And you know, you would have heard him as well enter the fray and speak to such matters.
It's going to be an interesting one. Afenya says that. Oh, just quickly, he says that he's also ready to avail himself to all the institutions for questioning, etc. So whether it's the OSP, because Shraj has also been petitioned, Parliament, etc. So he says that he's ready. If it's the CID, he will go and answer questions. So
that his name will be clear.
Exactly, because as far as he's concerned, he's a hard-working businessman who's built his reputation over time, and so he will not sit and allow, you know, this to destroy his hard-earned reputation. So let's see how it goes. Like I said, it's about who will provide the evidence at this point, or who will now be able to prove that this allegation is false. So let's see.
Sami made the allegation. So
yes. So I mean, of course. Now there has to be some. If Afenyo and his team are saying that it's not true, they have to be able to prove to a large extent that it's false, is it not?
So the person making the allegation,
Sami's making the allegation. So he has to prove.
He has to prove.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah. So we'll allow them to. We'll allow them to. It's going to be a long week, but we look forward to how it's going to run. And, you know, when this conversation began, it first began with the Gold Board and certain, should I call them allegations or findings, or, well, certain conversations about the performance of the Gold Board, the economy findings of the World Bank and so on. It's taken a totally different route. But we wait to see how it will pan out.
I think it's an interesting point you raised. So from the beginning, it was the fact that the loss has been identified by the International Monetary Fund, and then the extended paper on whether the pros and cons of the domestic gold program is going to have an effect on the economy, and then its medium to long-term future as well. And then it went to the personality. Now, the next one that we even heard, for which the Gold Board has also reacted, is coming from Dr. Gideon Boaku, who says that even the fees that are paid or have been paid within the period of 2025 to the Gold Board, so to speak, based on its fees, it's rendered for the services for the Bank of Ghana, should also be investigated. So it looks like the matters are just transitioning from one point to the other. They get a lot of traction and some level of voices behind them, and then they tend to the next level. And now this time is about the fees that are paid. There could be some embezzlement, means of corruption, etc. And I think that level of consistency ideally should have been there. How you started it, that should have been very symmetrical in the debate, very linear. But so far, it's been changing.
It's taken a different route. But anyway, still today on the show, we're going to be talking about non-communicable diseases. So these are these long-lasting diseases, which has been declared as the #1 cause of death, premature death worldwide. It's something that we talk about in this country, but not enough. Illnesses which are sometimes caused by our lifestyles. Yesterday, we were talking about the use of polystyrene, kako foam, to buy hot food.
Disposables.
So that has been banned. The president has announced a ban of polystyrene from the 1st of January next year.
Through the FDA.
Yeah, through the FDA. yes. Through the FDA. Thank you, Roland. And so from the 1st of January next year, we're not supposed to use it. But it brings us the bigger conversation about the way we take care of ourselves, the things that we eat, the things that we are intentional about, and the things that we think are nothing. And the increasing reports about kidney-related diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, among other things. Nowadays, if you're past 30, you need to be checking your blood pressure. Because too many of us are sick and we don't know it. And before you know it, it's too late. And we're asking, why are so many people sick now? Why are very young children, getting diabetes, cancer and kidney-related illnesses? And nowadays, 9-year-olds have breast cancer. We're going into October soon, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. At first, it used to be an illness that much older women had. But now, children, even who don't have enough breast tissue, the breasts have not even developed, are getting breast cancer. And more men are also reported with breast cancer now than before. And it's still the leading cancer that causes death in women in Ghana and across the world. And so we'll have an extended conversation on non-communicable diseases and the things that we need to know as a people and the common things that we do every day that may cause or lead to some of these illnesses, so that we can take cue. We have to take the individual steps by ourselves to see to it that we don't do the things that could lead to some of these illnesses. So you want to stay with us. We'll have that discussion right after sports today. And of course, Manchester United they are still disgracing themselves all over the place. Manchester United just
cut them some slack.
You see, when you are so proud.
House of Folk supporters, you always love Manchester United.
No, I'm an Arsenal fan.
Oh, okay.
When you are so proud.
But your temper is very short.
I'm even surprised. I was hoping she would say she's a fan of another team. But Arsenal even worse.
We are in our good years as a team.
Right.
Are you?
We are in our good years as a team.
Okay.
The good thing about Arsenal supporters, let me tell you, is that we are faithful and loyal. We are hard to find. We understand pain and suffering, and we stay loyal.
You don't have a choice. You have to understand it.
We stay loyal
for too long.
Right. You know, the last time I saw, one of those aliens who parading our street, those Nigerians and all that. Wearing House of Folk jersey. It was very tattered. Just you get to the the circle interchange area. So I was wondering, I said, these people too. And just yesterday, we had the interior minister talking about them. I said, Nance people.
My people.
And the interior minister is indicating that we have over 2,200 migrant beggars on our street.
And they are wearing,
I saw one wearing tattered House of Folk jerseys.
That's enough to generalize and say all of them.
We need to discuss this morning, I'm telling you.
First of all, we are going to get to the interior minister, but
please.
For them to wear House of Oak jerseys, it tells you that there are enough House of Oak jerseys in town for it to go all the way.
I'll reply you.
See,
the jersey was started, so I know where they got it. In the incinerator or the
what team do you
Kumasi Asante Kotoko in Chelsea.
You don't even have enough jerseys.
Which Chelsea? Brekum
you don't even have
Chelsea of London Bridge.
Brekum Chelsea.
We don't get the aliens wearing our jerseys. So.
You don't have enough jerseys.
High class. Blue. And then we have red.
You know what would be funny? That you'll drive out of here and probably see another beggar in a Chelsea jersey.
This is not fair. I thought I was leading the debate. Please, let's get to Muntaka.
On a more serious note, the Interior Minister has spoken about this. This is not the first time we are speaking about this. In fact, we did not need to wait to hear from the Interior Minister. If you've driven across the major highways in Accra, you've seen a lot of these migrant children. It's so heartbreaking to see. About a year ago, I saw a post by George Quay saying that if we don't take care of this now, a time will come when we will just be unable to, we'll be overburdened, and there will be no practical way to be able to help these children. We see their parents too, but it appears there are more children than their parents or whoever brings them here. There have been discussions about possible slavery, where these children we see with these women are not their parents. They are hired or stolen or brought in, to come and work. And by work, I mean beg in the streets. It's heartbreaking to see, especially the very little ones. Sometimes you see a child who is visibly 2 or 3 years old, and they are in traffic, harassing road users, trying to get money. And there's sometimes a conflict as to, should I help this child because they're visibly hungry? But also when you help them, are you enabling the begging? Encouraging them to keep coming because then they believe that this is a way to live. It's very disheartening, especially when you see the very little ones in traffic.
And they become a little violent as well, in the sense that if they constantly ask you for money and you don't give them, they'll either hit your car or if they have a stone, they'll scribble on your car.
The children?
Yes. Some of them actually get upset because you've refused to help them. But like you said, it's not as if we don't want to help them. But again, if you continue to give them, then they'll continue to come back on the streets to beg. And the biggest concern is the money going to them directly? Is the food being bought for them? Or are they collecting the money and now giving it to someone who's sitting in the corner somewhere, using them to make money? Because they're being trafficked, a number of them. So how are we even addressing that? And I saw that when, the minister made this statement and said a number of them had been removed from the streets and sent back to their countries, etc. Then majority of the comments said, are you sure they've gone back? Because I'm sure half of them are already back in the country again. And so really, are we addressing the problem? And I'll go back to a number of years ago when Madame Otiko Afisa-Jaba was the Minister of Gender. And she announced that there was a program that had been developed to also take a number of these people off the streets. There was going to be some provision of, they're going to do skills training, provide some accommodation for some of them, etc. All that. We didn't see it happen, and we're back to the same conversation. So we like to talk a lot. We're always talking about what we're doing, but in actual fact, do we really address the problem from the root?
No, I think that we don't. And let's also put some of these matters into perspective. By law, if you are an ECOWAS citizen, because of the free movement protocols we have, because we are members of ECOWAS, they are enjoined to also have that entry to enter Ghana. But the point is, because they are very nomadic in nature, the immigration laws that need to be triggered by way of the renewals of the permit to enable you stay in Ghana are not being triggered and then enforced. That also means that there's some level of laxity on the part of the Ghana Immigration Service, as well as the allied agencies, ministries, departments, and agencies to do what they have to do. So that's one. Two is the fact that when they come in country, if you particularly observe what they do, it's not as if that they are part of KIAs or they are involved in trading, etc. You will find that it's a trade they tend to undertake to earn a living. So you would find, I don't know whether because they are Islamic or not, they have their husbands or the male head who is under a shed somewhere and is sending the females, whether they are young children, and then the women, or who I think by way of observation and description, their wives, to go and do the begging. And I think it's very bad. If they are here for humanitarian purposes, that should be identified, and then they have to be helped. 3, if they are not here for humanitarian purposes, then it also means that beyond just saying that we are just marshalling them together and then putting them on trucks and so-called putting them on buses, which was what we saw the last time and the media also covered, how then do we make sure that wherever we send them to, they don't return? Because we are sending them on buses, we're giving it publicity, we're telling people that that's what we did, yet the next week or month, they are back on the streets. So where did they go?
Yeah. And it's because, you see, we have a lot more porous borders than we actually have authorized borders. So if you look at the stats, it says that we have roughly about 250 unapproved entry routes exploited for illegal crossings in Ghana, as against 48 authorized border crossing points in the country. And so you might take them out of the country through the authorized border points, but once you drop them in their country, and they know that I can probably go through the bush and get back into Ghana through this route, which is unapproved, they'll definitely do it.
Did you say 250?
250, roughly. So that's not even a definite figure. So it could be more.
Into Ghana.
Yes, exactly.
That's a large number.
Yeah.
250.
Very.
So let me even give further details on that. So it says that the Volta region, this is one of the most active zones for unapproved crossings, with over 102 illegal routes identified in that sector alone. You look at the northern region, that also has a number of them, and then also there are the maritime routes as well. So Volta region has the largest number of illegal routes in this country, and a number of people are coming in illegally. So if they come in, first of all, they didn't have their passports or whatever stamped. So even if they stay here beyond the approved number of days or months, you cannot tell, because even if you want to renew, how are you going to renew it? Because they didn't come through the right channels.
And for the ECOWAS protocol, you don't even need a passport. You only need just the card.
Yes, but even that, you still have to stay to a certain
it's up to
period, and then you need to renew, right? But that's not
90
done.
days renewable.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Well, we'll take a look at this and see, because leading the charge this morning, we have ambassadors. So the beautiful, intelligent man, then Bella will be leading the charge for the anti-alien Ministry of Interior discussion this morning.
To talk about.
I find it worrying when we refer to them as aliens, though.
Oh, they are aliens.
I've never
Alien is just a synonym.
I get it, yes, I get it.
Synonym for
I don't know,
foreigner.
I get it, but I've never liked that word. I think because of how it's been used in the States.
Aliens.
I think
well,
so. Anyway.
So we're discussing that up next. Make sure that you also take part. We have cash out. It goes with Shoko star 439. I have some great people who are watching. And let me say good morning to you, Edmond Combat, Managing Director of the Tema Oil Refinery. Great guy.
Lydia Nyaba.
Lydia Nyaba of the National.
Woman.
Yeah, and then Alhaji Jibril of the National Security, and then a great friend of mine is also standing for the Deputy Women's Organizer for the NDC for the Central Tong constituency, Yvette Emefagbeve. Yvette Emefagbeve. Charlie, all those delegates in Central Tong constituency, you have to vote for her, Yvette Emefagbeve, for Deputy Women Organizer.
So you say hello to Honorable Duchum.
And then also many of them as well. So it's up next because of time. Honorable Duchum, good morning to you.
Duty to protect our borders, maintain public order, and safeguard our national security and economic interests. By the end of 2025, the Ghana Immigration Service has removed 2,281 migrant beggars on our streets, and 774 other illegal immigrants involved in transnational organized crime. We are pursuing this removal fully conscious of Ghana's obligation under the ECOWAS Protocol on free movement of persons, as well as the diplomatic relations and long-standing ties we and other countries have.
And that was the Interior Minister, Honorable Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, speaking there. He gives us some figures. He says that 2,281 migrant beggars were removed from the streets by the end of 2025, with 774 other illegal immigrants involved in transnational organized crimes. We began the conversation already, and a lot of you have already started wading in. You have seen young children, mostly, and women in the streets of Accra and other major cities begging. A lot of them are in the country illegally. At first, it started slowly, but over the years, it seems to have become, the numbers have increased, with some comments about this begging even being a business, which is run by older people who sit in obscure corners by the roadsides and allow these children and sometimes women to come to you in your car, or if you're walking down the pavements of the main roads, to ask you for money. Now, what does this mean for us as a people as we try to ensure that, first, these children who are in our country legally or otherwise are safe because they are children and they are mostly ECOWAS citizens, and also, two, how do we rid our streets of this menace of people harassing road users, begging for money, etc. Not forgetting the fact that it's even dangerous, dangerous, very dangerous for these children to be crisscrossing the main roads trying to get money from road users. We're going to go into this conversation further, but you are invited to join us via WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is on the screen. Let us know what your thoughts are first about this. If you could prefer any solution to this, how can we manage this menace? But before we read your messages, we're joined on Zoom by Richard Kumado. He is a security expert. He's joining us live here on Zoom. Good morning, sir. I think you are muted. If you could please unmute your button. Yes, and then we can hear you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Ann.
It's great to see you in the morning. We usually see you at night on Ghana Tonight. We've gotten you out of bed early today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Now, we heard from the Interior Minister yesterday. He tells us about the number of illegal migrants who have been removed from this country as of December 2025. He quotes over 2,200. And some of them, about 774, he says, have been engaged in transnational crimes. First of all, to my mind, these numbers are staggering. What do you make of this announcement that he made yesterday?
I wasn't surprised. We just did a nationwide security risk assessment, and that was one of the issues we captured as among the three core elements we assessed. And so I wasn't surprised the timing of the press conference and this particular issue coming up. To the extent that we keep doing it almost every year, picking them out of the street, and they are back onto the street, I think from policy decision, we will need to look at it again. And I agree with most of the things you said in the studio this morning, that as a nation, we need to look at policy issues in relation to where we find ourselves, who can come and who cannot come. Number two, I also think that aside the nuisance they pose to motorists and other road users, for a national security perspective, they are concerned about issues of public safety and issues of vulnerability and how migration kingpins and human traffickers takes advantage of such people and make sure they throw them into nations in order to facilitate some of these activities on the blind side of national security managers. So that is why the nation, once in a while, we want to clean them out of the street. We have done it severally. I think going forward, some of the approach we use will need to be revised and make sure if you are engaging in taking them out of the street, we get it done once and for all, because there are also issues about protocols you have signed and human rights watchers whom I want to take on the stage for taking out people out of the street without appropriate information in that regard.
Now, you mentioned the protocols we have signed and international agreements which we are a party to, and so we must allow to work. That includes allowing people from neighboring countries, ECOWAS states, to come into our country. How do we do this balancing act between staying true to our protocols and also ridding our streets of these illegal immigrants?
Over the years, or a few years back, there has been this decision that these people are scattered all over the country, and you have decentralized your security arrangement where you have the district chief executives who are the heads of security at the district. So immigration has worked with some district chief executives to ensure that once you find these people within your domain, then you have a responsibility of making sure you take good care of them or you get them out of the street. In some municipal streets, some municipal chief executive has also helped in that regard. Besides the national crusade you see where they put them in buses and they are being driven out of the country from one location to another. I think one of the things we need to do is to coordinate the activities of getting them out of the street properly. It's also to make sure that we find out those who are really behind this street of bringing them in and push them into the street. And also make sure that at the point of entry, we properly want to take care of them and know who is coming and who is not coming. Then we must also ensure that we segregate it and we categorize it, because there are some other category of people who are here who might not necessarily be begging in the street. They will also have to be checked so that if they exceeded their stay, then the appropriate arrangements are made. In that regard, immigration will be called into force to ensure that the immigration laws are working, and where we need more regulations to address some of these lapses, it can easily be done once you look at the bigger picture.
All right. Now, Bella was mentioning earlier the number of porous borders we have. And you mentioned over 200, Bella. Yes. Over 200, about 250. That is a real problem. If we have over 250 porous borders and we are busing these illegal migrants out of the country every now and again, we are sure that they are going to find their way back into the country through these porous borders. So let's start from this, our attempted solution at busing them out. Is that even the way to go?
No, when it comes to the porous borders, we have been aware of these porous borders and what is likely to come through the porous borders. But then from security intelligence point of view, they can easily tell you where the chunk of the beggars are coming from and where the chunk of those who want to come not through the appropriate channels are coming from. So yes, I agree with the nature of the porous borders we are talking about and the necessity to do something credible about it. But when it comes to these particular beggars in nature, from security intelligence point of view, they can tell you. We have also done some level of assessment where you have people coming in the name of coming to do a particular trip. They come in with a large chunk of people. They drop them at a particular point, and yet when the cars are going back, they don't go with them. And these are guys who pass through the appropriate channels. So you can use basic security intelligence techniques across all the points of entry, and they will tell you where they are coming from. But as to whether we are doing it right, it has to be looked at from a position of policy, human rights, and the protocols you have signed. And then again, you are a sovereign nation. Your decisions to ensure that national security priorities are achieved and national sovereignty guarantees are achieved. And if you have people in your domain who may pose some level of vulnerability to that regard, you have the right to take decisions appropriately in line with law, so that whilst you are preserving their rights as human beings, you are also making sure that you take decisions that ensure that many of the things you want to do from a position of national security are achieved with that regard.
Do we have any responsibility towards these illegal migrants as a state from a security point of view? Are we required to ensure their safety?
Yeah, once they find themselves in your domain, and if you look at it, issues about migration and whether it's legal migration or illegal migration has become a major weapon against nations all over the world. And the Europeans are crying about it. Many other countries are checking it out, and they are, in some instances, they use their military for that regard. The point is that once they find themselves within your domain, you have signed certain regional and international protocols that enforces or that ensures that you have to take good care of them. You cannot just throw them out of the street. And so people prevent them from coming in the first place. So if prevention do not work, then you have a duty to ensure that their rights are not abused and their civil liberties are not curtailed. And there are other ways of doing it such a way that from a position of identity and vulnerability and policy, you can always send them back to where they come from or where they came from, in line with nationality and in line with traditional channels and in line with religious pathways. Some people have the view that within the Muslim community or within the Christian community, social media leaders or religious leaders or bloggers or many of the media spaces can also contribute in making sure that people are identified and people are assessed and vulnerabilities are taken care of. And the risk alignments are also put in place to ensure that this person is here for ABCD reason, and this person is also here for ABCD reasons. And it helps immigration in that regard to ensure who will go and who will not go. And they must also work with the NGOs in that space. Mostly the NGOs complain, the embassies complain, and many of the persons who must come on board when some of these decisions are taken, they complain afterwards. We can look all of them into the pool and take a decision that is in the best interest of our state, and that is the best way to go.
Mr. Kumado, so quickly, just going back to the conversation about our porous borders and the fact that in most cases, a number of these people also come through the authorized borders as well. There's a viewer who has sent a message and says, Obapa Atechi says that they passed the approved roads. I was at the border of Akanu and I saw 2 truckloads of women and children from Niger into Ghana only last 2 months. The immigration personnel are taking money from them. And that's where my question is coming from. Because you have mentioned that we do not lack intelligence. In fact, the minister yesterday did mention that one of our challenges will not be the fact that we lack intelligence because we have it in abundance. So if that's the case, is it really true that some of these officials manning our borders are that corrupt to the extent that they are accepting money from some of these, truckload of women, bringing them in illegally to beg? And if that's the case, how are we addressing this issue to ensure that we put the right people at the borders to prevent something like this?
Definitely, I agree with you. So whether it is a porous border or it is a approved route, it's a policy issue and it's a decision-making issue for national security to take care of. That if it is true that you have your enforcers or your officers at the border who are being compromised, then you are going to have challenges. And one of the methodologies for human traffickers and human smugglers is to compromise your officers at the point of entry. So I would not be surprised if that turned out to be true or not to be true. I have seen it severally, and I have witnessed it severally to know which one might be true and which one would not be true.
Which one is true? Which one is true? Is it true then? I mean, you have the intelligence, so is it true that they are collecting money? And in such instances, what has been done? Are you aware of anything that's been done to some of these officers if they were found corrupt?
No, what you can do is that if you have a approved border and people are passing through with cows and we are not stopping them to find out what is happening, or you are seeing people loaded with buses and we are not stopping them to find out what is happening, and it is turned out that some of these people in the buses are found at some of these locations and they have been classified as people who are here to beg, and then people who are making the assertions that they saw them passing through and immigration officers having taken a decision, they might seem to be true. But then again, broadly, those decisions have to be taken as a national security priority issue, and so that the issues are assessed properly, and so that we avoid conspiracies and accusations that some might be true and some might not be true. And for me, who have been on the field for so many years and coming across many of these instances, which I just told you, we just finished the National Risk Assessment project. I have seen people passing through approved borders in numbers as to why they are not stopped or they have been stopped briefly. Those are decisions for national security agencies to take. And all this will be accumulated at the national security decisions meetings when this particular vulnerability has been tabled and decisions have to be taken in the best interest of the state. So we have unapproved borders, which in itself is a major problem for us, but our approved borders can also become a point of vulnerability when many of these guys in the business of migration and human trafficking have the tendency of bribing your officers. And if officers are vulnerable to them, then they might want to pass through the trade. But above all, I think we have a capacity as a nation to ensure that our streets are clean, to ensure that we know people who are here, why they are here, who must stay and who must leave. And whatever channels we have to use, it has to be in line with the appropriate standards we have signed, whether regionally or globally, and so that the rights of these people are also not abused. But as a nation, in terms of our national security guarantees and national security interests, we have every right to take those decisions irrespective of who is involved.
I see. So if that's the case, I mean, I'll just read a bit of what the minister says, that in dealing with irregular migration, it's not a lack of political will that we have. It's not about security or intelligence or leadership, but the skills and operational capacity that's required to effectively manage the problem. If you have to proffer some immediate solutions with regards to how we can take advantage of, operations to ensure that we get rid of these people on our streets, if you had to advise the minister, what are the key things you'd say he should tackle immediately?
I think not the minister per se, but I think at the point of, at the position of interagencies, one, there has to be a bit more collaboration. What I have seen is that most of the agencies are operating on their own, and intelligence sharing becomes a bit of a problem for them. Who shares what and what is being shared and for what purpose is one of the things they have to look at. Then again, the risk assessment parameters in line with aliens or in line with illegal migration or migration in itself will have to be tabled again. Then you also have the units involved in making sure that some of these things are prevented. I think they will need to work a bit more in a collaborative nature as a result of resource mobilization and distribution of same. Agencies want to get money on their own and they want to operate single-handedly. And that creates some level of isolation. And those isolation vacuums are filled with many of these things at the blind side of our agencies. So if our agencies can work more collaboratively, I think they will get a job done. I don't want to believe that the BNI will not give them the intelligence they needed. But once the BNI provide the intelligence, it is the responsibility of some other agencies to act and act precisely and swiftly. And if vulnerabilities is coming from actions of some of the agencies, I believe at the national security level, they have the capacity to deal with it as quickly as possible. And that's the best way to go, Bella.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. It's been a pleasure, and we wish you a good day. Yeah, that is Mr. Richard Kumado, and he is a fraud prevention expert and security consultant. But quickly, Dom Shamsu has sent so many messages on the same topic, and he says that, good morning, Na and Bella. The issue about this is because the state has neglected the welfare of immigration officers. So they also do what they can because no accommodation for the officers. And for almost a year now, no rent allowance has been paid. So the officers are not happy at work. And that's
Is he an immigration officer?
Well, he didn't state specifically if he's one of them, but he seems to know quite a lot about it. He could be. But Neodati also says that what happened to free movement of Africans in Africa? Interesting question.
Well, it's a balancing act between free movement of Africans in Africa and proper movement of Africans across Africa. Well, we'll bring you more on that as this development unfolds, but this is on the back of that statement by the Interior Minister yesterday. Still to come, we have the big issues, and we've got sports and that conversation on non-communicable diseases that you need to know about. In the meantime, you can pack up your day the Milky Way with the rich, smooth taste of peck milk shortcake. It's a pure delight. You're watching TV3 Newday. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're welcome back, and it's time now for the big issues on TV3 Newday. Good morning to you, and if you just tuned in, well, it's good to know you joined us. If you've been with us from 6:30 a.m., we're grateful as well. And we're streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. You can also join us on YouTube at TV3 Ghana and on DSTV channel 279. And this morning, we're digging deeper into the issue between the CEO of Gold Board, Sami Gyamfi, and, of course, the minority leader in Parliament, Sahene Alexander Afenyo-Markin. And this whole conversation started from an IMF report that indicated that some losses up to about 22 billion Ghana cedis had been incurred as a result of the domestic gold purchasing program. And so, based on, the institutions that were mentioned, from Bank of Ghana to the Gold Board, at some point, the minority now addressed the media and indicated that those losses had to be attributed to the Gold Board specifically and Sami Gyamfi. Sami Gyamfi came out to dispute those claims and, in fact, went ahead to even make further statements, including the fact that the minority leader had allegedly tried to extort from him. And since that didn't happen, he decided to go ahead and impugn his reputation. That has degenerated into other conversations as well, because we've had members of the United Party, Solomon Owusu and Andrew Appiah Dankwa, now formally filing a joint petition seeking a criminal investigation into these allegations, indicating that some $1 million were allegedly demanded from Sami Gyamfi by the minority leader. And so they have petitioned, in fact, 2 petitions actually, yes, but they have petitioned a number of institutions: Office of the Special Prosecutor, Attorney General's Department, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Inspector General of Police, Police Criminal Investigations Department, and the Speaker of Parliament. As it stands now, we have heard from the Office of the Special Prosecutor on this matter, indicating that, yes, they are going to assess the extortion allegations, but first of all, they need to check if this falls in line with their mandate. So yesterday, they released a public notice that says that they have taken note of the public allegations of extortion and related conduct made by the CEO of Gold Board, Sami Gyamfi, against the minority leader, Afenyo-Markin. It says that they also acknowledge a joint petition submitted by 2 persons, as well as 2 separate petitions submitted by other persons in relation to the allegations. And given the nature of the allegations, the OSP will assess the case and determine whether it falls within its statutory mandate and whether further investigative action is warranted. But another angle of this conversation is the fact that a number of people had asked that if really Afenyo-Markin, because he had gone around saying that there was no truth in that allegation that was made against him. So if really that was the case, was he going to file a lawsuit? He had posted on Facebook that he was going to take legal action. He was asked on TV. The response was a little, different to some extent. He talked about how even Jesus Christ had been maligned, etc. But eventually, time revealed the truth. And so we weren't sure if he was going to file a lawsuit. But yesterday on the floor of Parliament, he indicated that he had filed a lawsuit. And so let's go listen to what exactly he said, and then we'll go through that lawsuit, the reliefs that he's seeking from the courts, and we'll come back and introduce my guests.
In the face of the allegations of extortion leveled against me, I have chosen to take high moral ground by submitting myself to the processes of the law. I have accordingly caused writs to be filed in suit number GT 1029/2026, entitled Osahin Alexander Afenyo-Markin versus Samuel Edu Gyamfi and Multimedia Group Limited at the Accra High Court, and suit number GR/ACH/CC/C5/02/2026, entitled Osahin Alexander Afenyo-Markin versus Eric Ejay and Peace FM at the Achimota Circuit Court. I have every confidence that in the fullness of time, the court will make the appropriate determination on these matters. Mr. Speaker, I also await with bated breath that the man or the men who made the allegation will have the courage to report the matter to the police or the OSP or any investigating agency in this country. And I expect that if they muster the courage to report that I have extorted from them and I am invited, I shall submit myself to every investigation so that eventually my name is cleared. There is, Mr. Speaker, there is a limit to political discourse. There are lines that must not be crossed, and these red lines, once crossed, they must be dealt with.
So you've heard from the minority leader. He states clearly that there are certain lines that should not be crossed, and once they are crossed, they must be dealt with. And so he has indicated that he's filed 2 lawsuits, and one of them is against the CEO of Gold Board, Sami Gyamfi, and Joy FM together, and then the other one is also for another individual and a media house. And so 2 media houses, 2 separate individuals. But his statement of claim, he's asking, of course, his claims are for general damages for libel, aggravated damages, exemplary damages, an order directing the defendants to publish a full, unconditional and unequivocal retraction of the defamatory statements, an order directing the defendants to publish a full, unconditional and unequivocal public apology to the plaintiff for both, so Sami Gyamfi and Joy FM as well, and an order directing that the retraction and apology be published and or broadcast with substantially the same prominence and reach as the original publication. And so this is for that lawsuit that was filed against Mr. Sami Gyamfi and Joy FM as well. So let's take a look at the graphics quickly. We'll go through that very briefly. And so Sami Gyamfi, of course, faces a 15 million Ghana cedi defamation suit over that extortionist allegation made against the minority leader. It's one of the reliefs that Alexander Afenyo-Markin is seeking in the courts. And so he is a plaintiff at this point. And I have read some of the claims made in this lawsuit. But the first defendant in this case is Samuel Edu Gyamfi, a.k.a. Sami Gyamfi. He's the CEO of Gold Board and Multimedia Group, owners of Joy FM and Joy News TV. And the suit was filed at the High Court of Justice, General Jurisdiction, on the 24th of August. So that's it. Well, there was a statement that was made over the weekend on one of the shows on Joy News, and that's how all this started. And so let's get into our conversation now. And in the studios, I have right next to me Dr. Ramsey Nusa. He's the Director of Research for the United Party. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I would say I'm okay. Thanks
You're not so sure.
I'm all right.
What's happening?
I'm all right.
You're all right?
There are so many things that are, happening across the length and breadth of our country that, of course, needs much attention. I think that as the time would progress and would allow me, I will spill out the information. If you allow me.
I will allow you, don't worry. I've made a promise to you.
Let me say you're looking splendid this morning.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. You're showcasing the beauty we have in this country, and indeed the continent at large.
Why will you?
And indeed, we need to say it as it is.
Thank you.
And that's why we say that you can imagine a world full of men without women. How are we going to relate with each other?
So you need more time.
He needs a lot of time, right? Well, Dr. Sami Aya is a government spokesperson. He joins us as well. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm fine. It's been a while. It's good to see your face in the studios. Yeah, you've been very busy.
Yes, definitely.
Collecting petitions here and there. I know, right? So that petition was never given?
I think subsequently it was received by another government official.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Respected Nanaya Jantwa.
Oh, they gave it to Nanaya Jantwa.
That's the information I gather.
I see.
Like we always say, we serve at the pleasure of the Ghanaian people. At any point, if any Ghanaian believes that they are not happy about an issue, they have the right to petition any office that they want. And they have the right to decide who they give the petition to. But we have to understand that when His Excellency the President delegates anybody, the person is acting in his stead. And enormous respect must be given to the people. So for me personally, I hold no grudges against anyone who will continue to work for the Ghanaian people in that regard.
That's good. That's a good position. And also in the studios, Austin Bracco Powers is a private legal practitioner. I like your shirts this morning.
Bella,
you look very sharp. Legal vacation is making you showcase.
Yes, we just have to relax.
Your wardrobe.
When duty calls, then you just step up.
But how's your week been?
What the job? Just that, we're having to deal with this whole issue between the minority leader I won't say the minority, but the minority leader versus the boss of Good Board.
Yeah.
So it's an issue, one that is interesting. But now, Bella, you see, on this issue of protesters deciding on who to, or the officer, a government official to receive their petition, I have two suggestions.
Okay.
The government must designate a person who will be a petition taker.
Okay.
For all types of petitions. Or possibly we should position a suggestion box somewhere just by the Flagstaff House. So that when you reach that point, the police officers and the military personnel there will guide you to deposit. So that it is becoming one too many. That for petitioners or protesters to decide the person to receive their petition is something that we should not encourage in this society. So I was very, very taken aback when my brother had to face that experience. Particularly looking at the protesters, I think we need to step up the game and either designate somebody as a petition receiver for all types of petition, irrespective of whether you are a political party or not. And again, we should position a suggestion box so that you just walk in, drop your petition, go back to wherever you want to go.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
I think that it's a very beautiful suggestion. But the difficulty we have with this is that, you know, at the presidency, responsibilities are given to staffers at different or variable times. You can be there, you go on an official assignment. So if you suggest that we appoint one petition taker, what if demonstrators come or petitioners come and the person is on an assignment? There will be a difficulty. The thing is that petitioners or demonstrators must respect the office they petition. The president cannot be there to be taking petition all the time. That is why the president has presidential staffers, presidential aides, and other senior government officials at the presidency. They are acting in the president's capacity or on the president's authority. That alone should be enough reason why they must be accorded that respect. You understand the point? So I don't know where that, behavior is coming from.
Should that respect be accorded only to the presidency or to every other office?
Every other institution.
If, for example, we know that the NDC, when they were in opposition, also went on a demonstration to the Bank of Ghana, the head of security was asked to receive the petition. And clearly, your leaders also said they were not in favor of the head of security receiving because they wanted to petition the governor directly. So they weren't too happy that he was sent.
Yeah,
so in that case, I mean, clearly the NDC, like the MPP will say, they started this and they are just following, in that order, whether right or wrong.
So that comparison, I think, is asymmetric. You understand? I'm not saying that the person that the BOG delegated at the time did not have the capacity to do that. Okay. But the point is that when you do the comparison, these are senior government officials that the presidency has sent.
Okay.
It is not the same or cannot be applicable to what happened in the BOG.
That's not what we're discussing this morning. I just wanted to ask that question quickly. But let's move on now. And by the way, good morning to Nana Kwesi, who is watching us, Kingston Bisnap, Asimigas, Shali Hali, and Nana Bain, Charlie Wade, Mauko Tekpa, all of you watching on Facebook as well. And as we move along, I'll be reading your messages. And so keep them coming in. The hashtag is TV3 Newday. Neodate Mills, I see your message. Thank you very much. But let me start off with you. And even before we get into that lawsuit that has been filed, of course, there's also that perception that this petition that was filed by Solomon Owusu and lawyer Pierre Dankwa represents the United Party in totality. Is that correct?
Well, Bella, let me say a very good morning to your cherished viewers and to my colleagues on this platform. Indeed, there has been a lot of misrepresentation of the facts in regard to the petition laid by my colleagues, Solomon Owusu and then lawyer Pierre Dankwa. It represents their personal opinion on the matter, and for that matter, they executed their constitutional mandate as enshrined in our 1992 Constitution. And so it is not the collective view of the United Party, but it is their own personal view, and I would say their own personal quest to enhance accountability in our country. So I think that the two should be distinct.
Okay.
And I have clarified that. And I think that journalism over the years with some media houses, I fail to understand what kind of journalism they practice.
Why?
Because if a petition has been laid, right, there hasn't been any official communique by the United Party or our formal channels to that effect to suggest that we are the ones laying that petition. If members of our party are the ones propagating that petition, of course, then you should interrogate as to whether it is their own personal view or it's a collective view of the party. And I think that there has been a lot of misrepresentation over the matter and trying to politicize independent citizens' civic duty as far as the progress towards accountability is concerned. So I think that has to be clarified, and I think that I've settled this matter amicably.
I see. Well, let me also mention that Kwesi Botwe, representing the MPP, is supposed to be on set. He's here, by the way, and he will be joining us shortly. But let's get into this lawsuit straight away. And of course, we've heard from Alexander Afenyo-Markin, and he has gone ahead to file a lawsuit against 2 media houses and 2 individuals, Eric Ejay and Sammy Gyamfi, and of course the other media houses as well. He's seeking 15 million Ghana cedis, in damages, and he says that he wants them to retract that statement where Sammy Gyamfi specifically said that he had tried to extort from him. How do you respond to this?
Well, Mela, what I can say, that you and I were not there. That's the first statement. You and I, Bella, were not there when all these actions, alleged actions, happened. So it's his word against the word of Sammy Gyamfi. And that is why we have a court of competent jurisdiction under the aegis of our democracy to determine the matter. And I'm glad that the minority leader has progressed the matter to court to settle this matter amicably. And so we know that, yes, indeed, there are some form of corrupt practices that have been propagated by members of parliament. I mean, let's look at the AXA deal, that scandal that came about where it was alleged that members of parliament of a certain energy committee received bribes. So corruption has been part of our parliament, and it's about time we find in mechanisms, legal mechanisms, and ways and means to strengthen the institutions that are mandated to fight corruption. So I think that it is in the right order for the Honorable MP and Minority Leader to take up legal matters. And I also feel that the Gold Boss CEO will not make a statement out of nothing. That is also another thing, right? Because these allegations that he made were very, very powerful ones. And indeed, in our country, we cannot allow allegations to pronounce the guilt of a person, but rather the facts and evidence before a court of competent jurisdiction under the aegis of our laws. So I believe that, look, the time has come for adequate accountability. And that is why the people of Ghana gave this government an overwhelming mandate in parliament and indeed across length. And I think that this matter is also being watched by the international community because this is the Parliament of Ghana. Already we've had corrupt allegations and scandals that have ridiculed our parliament. This is also another alleged case. And if it's true, Bella, then it will be so disappointing. Because then the very important arm of government that has to check and balance the executive and then the judiciary, and having one of its prominent leaders ridiculed with such corrupt scandal, if found to be guilty of such, then it's a problem. So I believe that the matter is in court. We all do not know the facts. Nobody can pronounce that he knows the facts seated here. I have had cause to discuss the matter with some people who have also shared certain important information. I'm not allowed to bring that publicly.
Okay.
I think that Solomon also has also intimated that he also has his own facts of the matter and evidence on that matter. But nobody on this platform, on this table today, can vindicate whether Afenyo Makin is guilty or not.
Yeah.
And so we would allow the matter to continue in court. And indeed, I saw Solomon Owusu's petition, a very well scripted petition with certain recommendations and legal tools invoked under the aegis of our 1992 Constitution. My worry is that I have tested some institutions in Ghana, and it seems as if they are just sleeping. I don't know if they have workers working in that institution. Sraj is one, and if they are listening to me this morning...
How are they sleeping?
Oh, Bella, I have tested the waters, and I'm telling you that Sraj, if the boss of Sraj is watching us this morning, he needs to wake up. I don't know if we pay... I mean, we spend so much money, right, in compensating their employees. Yes, still, when citizens take petitions, they do not even care to even respond to the petition. The CID department, the CID boss, is also one. And I even always ask if we have an IGP in this country. So when I look at the chain of institutions that have been petitioned, Sraj, the CID department, and the IGP secretariat, I would tell my brothers in the United Party, Solomon and Apia Dankwa, that they should not expect anything positive from these three institutions.
That's not fair to say.
Bella,
allow them to at least even start.
How is that not fair when I have tested these institutions?
You sent petitions to all these institutions,
Bella,
and they didn't respond. When was this?
Not only myself, not only myself, but I'm just telling you that they cannot be trusted to do the needful. The OSP too is also another subject matter on its own, where this person has not lived up to the expectation of Ghanaians, and indeed to that office, to that effect. And so how the OSP is going to investigate this matter? I mean, there was a petition even earlier on by Solomon Owusu to investigate the claims by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that he single-handedly bought 300 pickups for the party. And we all know how much a vice president earns in this country. What has been the outcome of that petition till date? Bella, and we have to say it as it is. Institutions are created for a particular purpose. If today citizens feel that, okay, if I send a petition in my quest to exercise my constitutional rights, and you do not respond to me to that effect, then what is the essence of that, the existence of that institution? And that's why all the time when I get the opportunity to commend certain leaders, I do not leave out the current Chief Justice, Bafo Boni. Because, Bella, I have tested his office. I have seen results. And I can tell you that this person is a credible leader. He is somebody that a lot of people who want to go into leadership should emulate. And indeed, I might maybe want to even plead with the president that if his mandate exceeds his age limit, he should extend it for him. Yes, because I know that he's almost
due by end of this year.
And the end of this year. But if COP Onu, who doesn't deserve a 2-year extension? Of course.
That's your personal opinion?
Bella.
I'm just asking.
Bella.
I'm just asking.
Bella, it is the opinion of many virtuous and objective citizens.
But he's your friend.
No, I don't know him from anywhere. He's not my friend. If COP Onu could have gotten an extension by the police council and then supported by the presidency, then of course, on this platform today, I dare say that CJ Bafo Boni also deserves same. So Bella, this matter of extortion with the issue about the gold board, I know that we'll get into the matters of the gold board if time allows us, but I want it to be investigated thoroughly.
Okay.
We need to go deep into this matter so that we can settle this matter amicably.
So as it stands now, with all the institutions that have been listed, you only have faith in the IGP? Because because you said that Office of the Special Prosecutor, you're not sure, you don't trust that they would see through, the investigation. There's also Shraj, you said they are asleep. CID, you've petitioned in the past, you didn't get anything, any proper response. There's also Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament was also petitioned.
Yeah, so I didn't mention...
He's tabled that in the Attorney General's department.
So if you say I have trust in the IGP, that is a misrepresentation of my earlier submission. I said 3 things. I pointed out to 3 institutions. SRAJ, or 4, SRAJ, OSP, the CID, and then the IGP Secretariat. So these are 4.
Yes, and out of the 4, there were 3 of them that you said you didn't really...
No, the 4, actually, all of them.
Okay, all 4 of them, okay.
I mean, the Speaker of Parliament, I trust him to take up this matter.
All right.
The AG's office is also doing very well, but we need more from them. But I trust them to also take up this matter.
Samia, so I mean, with everything that's happening, Doc, by the way, with everything that's happening now, a lot of Ghanaians are saying that it's taking away the attention from the real issue, which is that there's been a loss that's been recorded, $22 billion. But we seem to be focusing on who said what. Now a lawsuit has been filed, and that seems to be what we're focusing on.
First of all, the issues have been played in the media, and to all well-meaning Ghanaians, they know that, they know where the losses have been occasioned, except that, especially the MPP themselves know where the losses have been occasioned, and they know that steps are being taken to make sure that we have a system that is resilient, that is buoyant, that reduces the, let me say, operational cost involved in the program that we are having. By the way, that program has actually been ended. Now, to the suit, I have to commend the very people that petitioned the OSP and other officers for remaining responsible Ghanaians and showing fidelity to the fight for accountability in this country. I commend them very well. I know that the lawsuit that came yesterday is a face-saving agenda by the minority leader who initially said that Jesus Christ was accused on several occasions and kept quiet. So he had decided to keep quiet. But after several, conversations went on and pressures mounted on him by his party people and his flag bearer and very, respected people in the MPP who have taken to social media and are saying that for saving his integrity, he must go to court. That is why he went to court yesterday, not because he believes that he is innocent.
Did he tell you that
it is
himself?
An agenda, but we can also say it is an agenda.
And what's wrong with changing your mind? You can make a decision at one point and decide to change your mind in an hour.
We know the Honorable Afenyomakin very well. In the latter part of 2024, when the Speaker made a ruling about some vacancy, within a space of few days, he actually went to court and mobilized the whole Supreme Court that doesn't sit on Friday to sit on Friday. In 1 hour, he got a judgment. So for him to have been reneging on going to court on this matter, definitely you know that there's something involved. But it's a case in court, so I don't want to go into the details. But I'm saying that there's an agenda gone bad. Because at the end of the day, he had no other option than to go to court. One, to make sure that the weight of the program, the weight of the matter, the issue we are discussing, is doused, number one. And to create a facade that indeed he is innocent. But I know that when the cases are being heard in courts, we will know the real truth. I know lawyer Sammy Jeffy very well. He has been a consummate gentleman who has been in the system for a very long time, has held a lot of debates, has engaged and interacted with a lot of people. Never has he made accusations of this nature. And he has actually gone ahead to dare the Honorable Afenyomakin and the MPP to take him on. And he would adduce evidence to that effect. I know him I know how meticulous he is, and I know that he knows what he's saying. But he will have his day in court. Leonardo Afenyo will also have his day in court so that we know the matter. But you see, Bella, why are we here, first of all? We are here because a group of people, having wasted their precious time in the last 8 years in government, having wasted resources that we give them, having suffered such a defeat in 2024, have consistently waged a war of attrition and disinformation campaign against one of the most revolutionary and far-reaching policies any government has ever brought as far as our mineral resources are concerned. The attack on Gold Board and its operations is just too much. Look, they started by saying that Gold Board is a galamsey board, and Gold Board is encouraging galamsey in this country. Meanwhile, they were the ones that launched domestic gold purchase program in 2021. Did they tell us where they were buying their gold from? Between 2021 and 2024, was the MPP interested in letting the people of Ghana know exactly where they were getting their gold from? Whether they are getting their gold from small-scale miners or large-scale miners or galamsey operators and what have you. Did they show any interest in letting the people of Ghana know where they were buying their gold from? Suddenly, they've gotten an epiphany and they've realized that there's a need for us to know where we buy our gold from. Especially when Gold Board itself has told us that they have formalized the system. They are buying their gold from licensed gold buyers. The licensed gold buyers are mandated to buy their gold from licensed small-scale mining operators. Between the DDEP, PMMC, under the MPP, and the Gold Board, that has actually formalized the system, who should we believe in terms of buying proper gold?
So you're saying for a fact that there's never been
I'm
a
saying
time
that,
where
I'm saying that at the
these
very
institutions
least,
have bought from galamsey?
I'm saying that when they were in power, did they show us where they were buying their gold from? No. A new system has come. The system is now growing. The system is formalizing the system, our gold trading system. The Gold Board system is making sure that there is some level of traceability and what have you, which they are about to launch very soon. Mm-hmm. But now they have decided to now show interest in where we buy our gold from. Now the disinformation campaign went to the fact that Gold Board is siphoning state money. Meanwhile, when they were in government, they launched numerous programs. They launched USTAT, they launched NAPCO. All of them did not even have the impact we are seeing today. But they made sure that they pumped huge money into it. They pumped money into National Cathedral. Those projects were not siphoning state money. But the Gold Board that came in less than 2 years, showing up our reserve with the support of Bank of Ghana, Finance Ministry, and central government, showing up our reserves from $8.9 billion to over $13.8 billion at the end, $13.8 billion at the end of 2025. Holding our Ghanaian currency, making sure that we are inching to where we are supposed to get as far as our import cover is concerned, and making serious gains within a space of 2 years that has never been experienced in this country. They are saying that that initiative is siphoning state money. But National Cathedral, USTAT, NAPCO, and all those programs were not siphoning state money. Then they went to, after they had failed in that regard, now it's about losses. Look, your own media colleague, Philip Osebunsu, popularly known as Obi on Asempa FM, wrote an RTI request to Bank of Ghana, asking about the breakdown of losses in the domestic gold purchase program. Mm-hmm. In fact, from 2022, 2023, 2024, there have consistently been losses. Why didn't the MPP hold press conferences that time to ask their government why those losses were occasioned? What decision went into arriving at the discounts? Why were they buying the gold at spot price where those losses have been accrued? Suddenly, they've gotten a Damascus experience and have noticed that now there is a need for us to probe why those discounts were arrived at, why those charges and fees were paid to Good Board, when same charges and discounts were paid under them when PMMC and Red Sapphire and others were buying.
So if they didn't do it, then they don't have the right to do
What
it now?
What moral right do they have it now? Especially when you read the IMF report. The report is clear. The report, when you read page 4, the report says that lessons from the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program. Where has it been written that lessons from losses by Good Board? So you see a clear disinformation agenda targeted at the very policy that has actually shown us in this country that the 8 years of the NPP was completely useless. And that indeed, when you have a working government.
If you say completely useless, that's not a fair thing to say. I mean,
what was the economic indices they inherited?
Yeah, but it's still not a fair thing to say.
They are the ones. Hold on. It is very fair. It is very fair. How is it that you were a government in 8 years? You came to meet a country that has a debt of 120 billion. In 8 years, you alone sent it to 760. You alone were the one that destroyed the Ghanaian economy. Our CD, inflation, everything was heading south. You borrowed more than everyone, but you were the one that couldn't deliver at all. Sector by sector, energy sector debt, doomso. When you go to health, West, National Health Insurance, they capped NHIL, no money was going to. I can go sector by sector. A new government has come. In 1 year, the whole of 2025, government did not borrow 1 cedi. But we have all our programs ongoing. Now, the program that is helping this country with the support of the government, they have decided to make sure that they destroy the program so that our city will collapse, our reserves will collapse. And the very person they are targeting is Lawyer Sammy Gyamfi, who was in the arrowhead of the NDC's attack and campaign in 2024 that led them into opposition. So me, as I sit here, I know very well that there is more than enough evidence that Lawyer Sammy Gyamfi has that will be sent to court.
You know for a fact that there's evidence.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
That's what the minority leader extorted.
That's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that this whole agenda going to court is a face-saving agenda. It is an agenda gone bad.
Let me bring.
And I know that at the end of the day, that's why they've even tabled it. I'm told, you are the lawyer, and Kwesi Botwe is here, that the rate is even defective. That is what
How is it defective?
That's what I mean. I'm hearing that the accusations made for which reason he is going to court actually has to be on the face of the rate. That is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
And that makes it defective. You understand? So
the lawyers
really,
can speak to it.
there is no issue here. We are focused as a government. God will deliver on this mandate. The country and Ghana will support. Well-meaning Ghanaians will support Lawyer Sammy Gyamfi, will support Bank of Ghana, will support President Mahama to deliver on the mandate that the people of Ghana has given us.
Councillor Braco, hold on for me. I'll just bring in Kwesi Botwe and then you can come in. So Kwesi Botwe is a lawyer and a secretary for the Security and Defence Committee for the NPP. Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, Bella.
I hope you're well.
By the grace of God.
All right. So you've heard from Dr. Samiaye. He says that lawsuit that has been filed by the minority leader is just face-saving because if at 1 minute he says that just like Jesus was criticized and he just kept quiet until the truth came out, he's also going to stay quiet, then why is he now filing a lawsuit?
Thank you very much. I would not even respond to Samiaye. I'll make my point.
But it's a question I've asked you specifically. Why don't you want to respond to him?
I'll make my point, but I'll not respond to him directly, but I'll make my submissions. I think to start with, this is now a matter for the courts to deal with. The appropriate forum to deal with allegations of this nature is the courtroom, not social media, not TV, not radio. If somebody alleges that you have committed a criminal offense and you are very confident and clear in your mind that you have not committed such an offense and that the words used by the proponent of the allegation, those making the allegation, is defamatory and has injured your reputation, the appropriate forum is to file a defamation suit to seek compensation and also to clear your name. And so I think that what the leader, the respected minority leader, Osahin Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has done is in the right direction. But the point has to be made that why are we here today? We are here because the respected leader simply called for a parliamentary probe or simply called on Ghanaians to interrogate and scrutinize the reason why the IMF has indicated that this country, our dear nation, lost 22 billion Ghana cedis as a result of the domestic gold purchase program in 2025 initiated by this government, by the Bank of Ghana and the Ghana Gold Board. You see, it is a fact, and my colleague, Dr. Samiaye, has not been able to debunk the fact that indeed the nation has lost $1.7 billion, that is 22 billion Ghana cedis, as a result of the DGPP. Bella, we are a population of about 30 million people. If we divide 22 billion Ghana cedis by 30 million people, each person is going to pay 733 Ghana cedis. The young person on the street who has no job to do is going to pay 733 Ghana cedis. The young nurse who had trust in this government and voted for President Mahama is going to pay 733 Ghana cedis. The young PWD who has no job to do and had cause to petition the presidency is going to pay 733 Ghana cedis. The young nurse who had trust in this government, that this government was going to roll out 133, and so he or she was going to find job to do, is going to pay 733 cedis. That is the conversation we should be having this morning. I think that the attempt by Sammy Gyamfi to call the respected minority leader names, describe him as, with all manner of words, I think that it is very unfortunate. I think that it is unethical of a government official, because if you have the minority calling for answers, asking relevant and important questions, you don't come out to call the minority leader names. You don't do that.
When you say relevant and important questions, I mean, the issue has been fact-checked, where the minority had indicated that the loss were as a result of Gold Board engaging in the purchasing program. But it's been fact-checked, and it says that it's the Bank of Ghana that incurred the loss and not Gold Board.
Bella.
So shouldn't that be the angle of the conversation, which is why Sammy Gyamfi is coming out and indicating that statement that was made by the minority leader is false?
You see, the 22 billion loss was not conjured by the minority leader. The 22 billion loss was indicated in the report of the IMF. And the IMF also did not conjure the figure. They came about that figure after sitting with the Ministry of Finance, the Ghana Gold Board, and the Bank of Ghana. So the figure didn't emanate from a vacuum. The figure came from somewhere. In any case, what accounted for the losses? We are being told that these losses were accrued due to the trading of gold. Today in Ghana, which institution is legally mandated to undertake the processes of buying and selling gold or trading in gold? It is the Ghana Gold Board. And so even if I'm saying this, granted without admitting that even if the losses were not incurred by the Ghana Gold Board, do you have to call the minority leader names? Does that warrant that you call the minority leader names? Because then the fact of the matter is that a loss of 22 billion has been occasioned. But that is a fact.
Hold on. So that statement or that report by the IMF, point 13 says that DGPP operations have generated significant losses for the BOG. Losses in 2024 equivalent to $400 million, one third of which were related to G4 or gold for oil. In 2025, the significant scaling up of DGPP operations led to losses of over $1.7 billion, almost entirely related to G4R Dory purchases. And that's what Sammy Gyamfi is saying, that if you look at this report, it doesn't say that the losses were incurred by Gold Board. It was rather generated for the Bank of Ghana. So if there's any loss at all, which we have established now, it should be the Bank of Ghana that should be accused of incurring those losses. Why is Gold Board being the target?
Because, like I've said, if you come to Ghana, in this country, the organization mandated to undertake the trading of gold is the Ghana Gold Board. And I'm even saying that even if the losses were not occasioned by the Gold Board, and the minority is raising questions about this IMF report, it doesn't lie in the mouth of the Ghana Gold Board CEO to be calling the minority leader names, making baseless allegations against the minority leader. But Bella, as I go on, I want to say that, you see, the Gold Board is not beyond criticism, constructive criticism. The Gold Board is not beyond accountability and transparency. The Gold Board is not beyond scrutiny and legal and parliamentary probe. The Gold Board is not beyond that. The Gold Board and the people around the Gold Board, like the likes of Samiaye, are trying to create an environment where nobody would be able to speak and interrogate the operations of the Gold Board. That is what they are doing. Because somebody makes reference to the IMF report and says that the nation has lost 22 billion cedis. Which cost of this loss is the cost the Ghanaian people are going to pay? And questions are being raised about these losses, and then you come out to call the person names. You should go to the court to prove that indeed the minority leader is liable for the names he described him with. Because you cannot just wake up and say that because somebody is calling you to answer certain questions, it means the person is an extortionist. I think that
but he says that he knows what
it is not good for our politics.
And those of you who are defending the minority leader are not privy.
And so he should go to court.
The information that he has, which is why he's referencing him.
The matter is now for the court to determine as to whether or not the allegations he's making is actually factual. Now the matter is in court. He should go to court and let the whole world know that indeed the allegations he's making has any basis. But I don't think that the allegations Sammy Gyamfi is making has any basis. I don't think that he has any cause to describe the minority leader and to abuse the minority leader in the manner in which he abused the minority leader. Samiaye made a point and called the government, the SWAL administration, useless. If there is any government that has proven to be extremely useless and incompetent and reckless, it is this government.
When he said it, I said it was unfair to reference.
He didn't
I said it was unfair. Now you are also making the same
that is also my
statement.
point. That is also my point. And that is my opinion about this government. That is a completely useless government. Because they have not been able to even fulfill even 20% of the promises they made to the Ghanaian people. This government is a government made up of arrogant liars. They come on, they sit on TV, they do not even read the room, and they use all manner of words. Granted, without admitting that the government was purchasing gold from galamseyers in 2024. That is why the Ghanaian people voted us out. That is why you promised the reset. You didn't tell us that the reset was to continue the things that the MPP administration was doing.
Okay.
And so if you promise a reset, and today you are in government and you promise 133, you have failed. You promise Women's Development Bank, you have failed. You promise Women Fertility Hospital, you have failed. All the promises you made to the young people of this country, you have failed and lied to them. You have the audacity and temerity to sit on TV and to call the SWAL administration useless.
Okay.
Then what is this government?
Let me bring Lawyer Braku Powers in so he can also speak to this matter. I mean, you've also had the chance to go through this statement, the IMF report.
Yes.
Based on the number of times that Gold Board has been mentioned in that report, and looking at that statement that has been made with regards to how the losses were accrued, what is your conclusion? Is Gold Board to be held responsible for the losses or not?
Bella. After going through the report, I had no doubt in my mind that the International Monetary Fund clearly stated that the losses emanated from the Bank of Ghana's program. Which said program, the Gold Board has a role or played a key role in conducting that business. But the International Monetary Fund did not say it was deliberately or losses that were caused by Gold Board. They said the losses were caused under the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program.
Yeah.
But we must understand that the objective of the minority is to ask questions as to the role that Gold Board played. We said role they believe may have led to some of the losses. Because the report itself, it may not be exhaustive, but the report attempted to give us explanation, reasons as to why the losses occurred. They listed service charge and assay fees and other things. So we were given an opportunity to know some of the reasons why the losses were occasioned or came about. But, Bella, we must understand that this is a classic case of the minority trying to set an agenda. Because it's usually done by when the governing National Democratic Congress was in opposition, they also tried to set an agenda. So you pick an issue and try to drum it. But the question we must ask ourselves, was the minority wrong in asking that question? My answer is no.
In asking what question in particular?
Asking questions.
Okay.
With regard to, let's find out what occasioned the losses and other things. They are not wrong to ask questions. I'm not sure this is the conversation that everyone is shying away from. But we've had occasions to discuss this issue. Don't forget that in the same IMF report, they stated that in July, the government, the Bank of Ghana, and Gold Board had to sign an agreement, which that agreement takes the Bank of Ghana from the entire program. Why did they sign the agreement? It was because of the agitations of Ghanaians that let's shift the conversation, let's shift the losses from Bank of Ghana's account to the government, because this is something that is benefiting the government, because it's a government program in any way. So let the loss sit on government budget or government's financial statement and not the Bank of Ghana. And I think the government has taken steps to address the issue, which is commendable, because when I read the IMF report, it was one of the things that were agitating that the Ministry of Finance should cushion the losses instead of the Bank of Ghana, because the Bank of Ghana must be solvent, must be an institution that, because if this is an institution that is advising the government regard to how to move the country forward, and that this institution is incurring losses, well, it's worrying. But let me point out that the answers that the minority is asking for, the answers are rightly inside the IMF report. Because I was asking myself, I watched the entire press conference, and the questions the minority leader asked. By the time, whilst I was watching, I had the report in front of me. So when he asked the question, I look at the paragraphs that clearly answers any of the questions. And my concern is that sometimes we must be able to delineate when partisan politics ends and when national interest ends or starts. So where partisan interest ends and where national interest starts. But, Bella, I also listened to Gold Board CEO Sami Jemfi. Did he say that the minority leader extorted from him?
Yes, he did.
He said he extorted from him. He said he called him extortionist. But did he say he extorted? The minority leader extorted anything from him? Did he say that the minority leader extorted money from him?
Well, he did make a statement that sort of suggested that there seems to be, a group of people who try, when they find something on you, they try to take some money or try to get some money from you. And if you don't give in, then they threaten that they are going to now
So we must be careful, because the thing is that I'm asking, did he say that the minority leader extorted from him? He called him extortionist. That's different from saying he extorted from me. We must be careful in our conversation.
I'm listening.
Because in his entire press conference, rebutting the minorities press conference, I didn't hear him say Alexander Afenyo-Markin extorted money from me.
But you're aware he was on TV over the weekend as well, where he was asked again.
He called him extortionist. He only repeated the extortionist angle. That he's an extortionist. And Eric J also repeated that he's an extortionist. So we must understand, I'm just trying to situate the conversation, that it may be that the minority leader extorted money from him, or the minority leader extorted money from somebody, which he is privy to. So he never said that the minority leader extorted money from him. He called him an extortionist. But if I called doctor any name, and I did not situate my personhood in the conversation, you cannot attribute the entire conversation to me. So we must be careful in the entire conversation. But the word extortionist is a serious word. One that is different from merely saying that, oh, Dr. Aye is arrogant, or is a political opportunist, or maybe Afenyo-Markin is arrogant or is a political opportunist. The word extortionist impugns criminality. Which is why I am exceedingly happy that Afenyo-Makin has decided to take the action to court. Because you see, the writ, merely filing the writ alone moves the conversation from political rhetoric to a legal accountability, which is what we are all yearning for. But we must understand that merely filing a writ does not mean the allegation is false.
Okay.
And it does not also mean the allegation is true.
It's true.
We are only in for the long haul.
But if it may be true, then I wouldn't want to go to court and file a lawsuit. Because at the end of the day, I could be found guilty of the same thing that I'm saying I'm not guilty of.
Well, that's to say that why do people go to court? Why do people go to court? People go to court not because they know they have a legitimate case, but they know that they can find a way to win. Sometimes not everyone who goes to court who wins. And Bella, you see, sometimes the people they are convinced that they have a bad case. Sometimes, see, as a lawyer, when a client walks to me, I assess the case and I tell you, Master, this case, it won't go in your favor. But they will say, lawyer, try.
Okay.
Sometimes you just have to be honest with the person. They want you to try because what? They feel that some way, somehow, they may win. Bella, you can be convinced. You see, that's why my fear is this. This is the thing. Sometimes when we allow politics to push us, or petty partisan politics to push us to do certain things, then later it backfires. That is where it will become damaging. Because we must understand that a man's greatest treasure is his reputation. If these suit before the courts, these two writs before the courts backfire, if these two writs backfire, that would be damaging.
To who?
To Afenyo-Makin.
You seem to have punched a hole in it already.
No,
with the extortionist claim, where you are saying clearly that after listening to Sammy James-Fi, he did not specifically say.
Yes, he
so
never said
that alone could even be used as reason to describe this petition or this lawsuit as what? No?
No.
Could that be done?
No, the thing is that you allege, so you must prove.
Yes.
Because you allege. And the fact that it was not committed against you does not absolve you of liability.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Because why didn't you allow the person who was victim of that criminality or that criminal act be the person to front the conversation? So it does not really entirely absolve you from any liability. But Bella, I'm happy that there's also a string of petitions before OSP and I'm happy the OSP has come out to say that they will assess the petition, because personally, extortion per se does not give the OSP jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Unless the extortion constitutes acts of corruption or corruption-related offences, by which reason the OSP jurisdiction may be triggered. So I'm happy but the OSP must be careful. They must not be enticed into investigating because it has been given to them.
No, that's why they said they will assess and see.
That's what I'm saying. That in their assessment, they must be careful of their limits. Because extortion clearly sits within the remit of the police. But just that Doc is not happy with the police. But Bella,
land for me so that I can bring Doc in.
Not police. Their leadership.
Their leadership.
Certain, just two of them. Leadership. Just two of them.
Bella, this issue will define political rhetoric going forward.
Okay.
And one that all politicians must respect or find a way to learn some useful lessons from. And my question also to the opposition New Patriotic Party is that the thing is that some of these things that are playing out, they are not new. But they are not new. So when you begin to exact legal accountability, because today you are the victim, don't forget that you are setting the platform for a wholesale legal action. Sometimes when you become a politician, you will be criticized. But in the criticism too, there must be a limit.
Okay.
That's why I always say there must be a limit. So, Bella, I'm happy that Osayin has decided to, because people were saying go to court. It was like I was just watching them, and it was like more like they were taunting him. If it's not true, go to court. He has decided to go to court.
After saying that, giving that analogy that Jesus Christ,
exactly,
but
let me say a quick thing. Bella, let me say a quick thing.
Briefly, so I can bring
yes, people were saying that, oh, this rate appears to be an afterthought. But after reading the rate, I am convinced that he had already taken the decision. Just that he didn't want to let the public be aware that this is the way he will be going. When you look at the rate, Bella, read it carefully. This is not an afterthought. Okay. If you look at the way it's been composed, you know that this person decided to keep the card behind him and to tell people that Jesus Christ took criticisms and he's
so that they will think he's not going
to do that.
Okay.
But let's be careful.
All right.
This doesn't mean the allegation is false. It also doesn't mean the allegation is
true. All right. Aminu Mahama says, good morning, Bella. Please tell Kwesi that the NDC government is barely 2 years in power and the economy is far better under the leadership of President Mahama. Okay, we hear you. Shaibu Concord says, there's no way Sami Jemfi will sit down for his reputation to be destroyed if we think he doesn't know what he is saying. Sami can bring the victim straight and win the case. That's Prince Naneya or York. Yeah, February says that both the DGPP gold and Goldbot's own gold were priced and bought at the same Forex Bureau exchange rate. So if after this discount sales to off-takers or exporters, there's a $1.7 billion loss for DGPP for just a year. Your message. Why is the profit on the part of Goldbot if Goldbot did due diligence? I'm trying to understand your message. Okay. There's already a public record of extortion cases against the minority. That's Adolph Mate. I'll read a few of the messages shortly, but let me bring Dr. Ramsey Nusa in so he can also speak on this.
Yes. Bella, around this table, I've heard my brother Kwesi Botwe cite losses of the BOG. But he's failing to recognize their performance when it comes to matters of the BOG. Because under the MPP, and indeed in the history of our country, they have set the record of in 2022 that the BOG lost 60.81 billion cedis. It has never ever happened in the history of the BOG since its inception. And between 2017 to 2025, the BOG lost cumulatively 85.95 billion cedis. So we have to be objective with our criticism and how we, try and criticize an incumbent. Because your records are worse. And for that matter, let us go into the details as to why the Gold Board is one of the best policy intervention since the creation of this country or since our independence to date. Bella, between 2019 to 2024, Ghana lost 229 tons of gold as a result of smuggling. And its nominal loss was in the tune of $11.4 billion. Bella, $11.4 billion. Today, Ghana has risen to the 6th largest producer of gold in the global stage. And of course, number 1 in Africa. Today, we've seen an astronomical appreciation of our cedi since 2025 of a value of 41%. Between 2022 to 2024, the cedi depreciated by minus 77%. And within a year, it appreciated by 41%. Of course, it will come at a cost. And I see this as an economic cost. The BOG was created to ensure that it safeguards our economy. That is its mandate. And so if the BOG has recorded a loss, and of course it's not a Gold Board, the IMF report is clear on this matter. So I don't know why, the minority will try and misrepresent the facts. Unless maybe they have their own agenda, which is clearly dead on arrival. The agenda is just dead on arrival. Bella, and if you look at the 2025 Auditor Report of the Gold Board, there was nothing flagged by the Auditor General's report in regard to any illegality perpetrated by the Gold Board. So where is this unfounded allegation on the person of Sammy Gyamfi and indeed the Gold Board for any wrongdoing? And indeed, Bella, I believe that we have to now discuss solutions. I mean, looking at the crisis bedeviling the BOG in terms of these losses, right? One of the critical issues highlighted by the IMF was the disparity between the BOG rate and then the Forest Bureau rate.
Yeah.
How then do we bridge this gap? I think, as a country and in the vision of the UP, you know that BDCs get some dollars from the BOG through auction. Yes, through an auction.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a deliberate policy by the BOG to ensure that there is no form of pass-on inflation when the exchange rates appreciates against, the dollar appreciates against the cedi.
Yeah.
I think that the BOG should have stringent control over the operations of forex bureaus. Forex bureaus in this country today have become like the frontier for the black market operations. And most of the dollars that are being purchased by these forex bureaus comes from the black markets. They operate hand in hand. I think that the time has come for the BOG to step on this illegal, illicit trade of forex by the black market. But also, they can also intervene in a very strategic manner. And this is a profession, this is what we want to profess as the United Party.
Okay.
Dollars can be supplied to forex bureaus by the BOG at no cost to the forex bureaus. The forex bureaus that receive dollars from the BOG would earn a commission by selling it at a uniform rate. And so, for instance, if you go to a forex bureau in East Legon, you realize that the disparity of the rates is different from that in cantonment.
Yeah.
But if we have a regime where the BOG supplies these license through maybe a new license scheme to these forex bureaus, right, the rates will be uniform. And for that matter, the issue about having forex bureau rates and BOG rates and causing losses in gold trading would be mitigated. I think that the BOG should look at such a policy intervention so that forex bureaus will not sell these dollars to extort from people, but rather they will sell it and receive a commission. They'll be paid by the BOG through a commission regimen or regime so that they can be able to stabilize and have some form of harmony when it comes to the rates, uniformity with the rates across the length and breadth of this country. I think that this should be tested, should be piloted, and if it works, then it would go a long way to mitigating these issues. Now, the issue about the thorough issue about this the IMF report.
Briefly.
Bella, I'm glad that there has been an attempt to try and bring in technological innovations to trace where the gold is coming from. It's very, very important because it does not make economic sense that, and of course, I'm not alleging that Gold Board buys from galamseyers, but indeed, if you look at the disparity between, even in the IMF report, the exports to Dubai recorded by the government and the actual import received by Dubai, you see that there's a great disparity. And it's not somewhere far. I mean, it's very close. I mean, in 2023, do you understand? And this, I believe, is as a result of galamsey. So, Bella, the traceability mechanism has to be implemented in an impetuous manner. We need to get to the bottom of where we are getting the gold from. if indeed these aggregators, whether tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, are getting the gold from the right source, you understand? So that at least we can be able to reduce the impact of galamsey and not fuel the activities of galamseyers. I'm not saying that the gold board is buying. I do not have any evidence to that effect. But I want to say that the intervention of the gold board in stabilizing our currency is phenomenal. We need to commend Sami Gyamfi and his team at the gold board, and indeed the Ministry of Finance and BOG for the work they have done to stabilize our city.
All right. Dr. Samia, I mean, he's proffered some solutions. Do you agree?
Yes, definitely I agree. But before I even get there, you see, the Honorable Afenyo Makin is in court today, not because he believes he's innocent. You called that yesterday, he actually visited Dr. Baumia. And the information I gather is that Dr. Baumia actually asked him to go to court, else he will be removed. As a man. That's the information I gather.
You are gathering that. But did you confirm it?
Yes, definitely. That's the information I gather. That's the because
Sibotri says it's a lie.
He should come and disprove it. There is no doubt about it. Because
you haven't proved it.
Well, there's already an agenda to remove him.
Oh, please, please.
There's already an agenda. Please. So the information I got yesterday was that he was told to go to court to save the image for himself and the party. That must be put aside. Again, because he said that, the minority and the Honorable Afenyo Makin are just asking for accountability. I beg to differ. Look, I have in my hand a publication. When they started this whole agenda, this is Graphic Online. Have you seen it? Graphic Online. Minority demands as answers to 22 billion cedis gold board loss. They didn't say minority demands accountability to losses to domestic good purchase. They said gold board loss. So they were not asking for accountability of the details of the matter. They decided to attack gold board and the person of lawyer Sami Gyamfi. Look, this is Ghanaian Times. He said, minority concerns over gold board's 22 million loss, not political Afenyo Makin. Meanwhile, when you read the report doesn't mention anything about losses by gold board. In fact, the reason why we are saying that it is targeted at Sami Gyamfi and not accountability is that during that press conference, they were mentioning bail conditions for lawyer Sami Gyamfi. I am asking you, is there any vicarious criminal liability targeted at lawyer Sami Gyamfi? He is the lawyer. He should tell us why in this report has lawyer Sami Gyamfi been vicariously impugned or implicated in this matter, where there is some level of criminality involved. None. And so it is a whole calculated agenda to demoralize gold board, to demoralize the work they are doing, and make sure that the gains we are getting as a country, we do not get. Look, gold board in 2025 was doing the same thing PMMC was doing. In September 2023, the Bank of Ghana went into an agreement with PMMC to buy gold for the Bank of Ghana. The rate of buying gold was determined by Bank of Ghana. PMMC were only giving money to buy. The assay fees were determined in 2023, the same assay fees gold board used. The service charges were determined between that arrangement between Bank of Ghana and PMMC. The same were used under. In fact, we are told by the Bank of Ghana that the discounts that were given was actually reduced by gold board from 2.1% to 1.1% under gold board. And so if MPP has anyone to thank, it is gold board and the CEO of gold board, the Bank of Ghana, and this government for doing what they couldn't do in 8 years. What they couldn't do in 8 years. He said that, he did a calculation that, the 22 billion loss, if we divide it, every Ghanaian will get a certain amount. Did he tell us what every Ghanaian will get when they made that 400 million loss in 2024? As for that one, Ghanaians will not get a share. But this 22 billion, Ghanaians should get a share. Look, they decided to selectively read the IMF report because the IMF report is clear. Look, paragraph 5, he said, smuggling of ASGM production has been a critical problem in Ghana. The smuggling of artisanal gold mine outside Ghana is estimated at 22 tons of gold worth 229 tons of gold worth 4 billion, which are missing from official trade data between 2029 and 2019 and 2024. That is your record as a government. What did you do about goods smuggling? Because they were beneficiaries. Do you remember Alistair Matthias? The man that accused President Mahama and President Kufuor that he is his friend and that he smuggles $40 million of gold out of this country every month. He said the president is his friend because they were benefiting from that smuggling arrangement. And so they had no interest in dealing with the matter. A new government comes, gold box, plugs holes, creates systems and mechanisms to make sure that we maximize our gains as far as our gold is concerned. And these people are in opposition. They lied in government. They are lying in opposition. Simple 45-page document they cannot read. This is a document they cannot read and understand what is it. It is the gold board that has now ended the domestic gold purchase program. They are now engaging in a new arrangement where they buy the gold from the interbank reference rate and they sell as fresh gold so that they can make some amount of money. Now, off-takers will fund it so that no debt will be accrued by Bank of Ghana. So, you and the media, the MPP, civil society, and senior lawyers like you should be commending Gold Board for making sure that gradually, in fact, I'm told that by 2028, we'll make sure that these losses we are seeing will not happen. It is a process, and it will take some time to get there. We should be rather commending Gold Board instead of demonizing Gold Board for what their program brought, because they were the one that brought the domestic gold purchase program. They were buying the good at spot price and whatever. They were giving discounts that made sure that these operational losses accrue while we get overarching economic benefit. Economic benefit we didn't get under their watch. It is under the watch of President Mahama that we are getting these benefits. And finally, he made the point that this government has been useless, but they have not been useless. This is a government that actually put a cap on national health insurance levy. That they were depriving National Health Insurance Authority of resources to a point where, under their watch, their health minister told us that he does not use his health insurance card again because it does not serve any purpose. Get Fund, we are the ones that have uncapped Get Fund and allocated huge resources to Get Fund for it to work. Energy debt. Their energy minister told us that we should go and draw our own timetable because the people of Ghana, just a minute, the people of Ghana were asking for doing so timetable. We have been able to pay significant. Last year alone, we paid $1.47 billion to make sure that the people of Ghana have lights. We've activated the cash waterfall mechanism and the ECG to make sure that every IPP gets some amount of money. He made mention of Women Development Bank. Let me tell him if it doesn't.
Learn from me because
and this is my last point.
Because of time, I need to give them also.
Women Development Bank. The Finance Ministry has told us that they've allocated 400 million Ghana cedis at Bank of Ghana for the establishment of Women Development Bank. Dr. Bawumia in June 2019 said that he cut short for construction of Construction Bank. Do we have any construction bank in this country?
All right.
Did he allocate any money at Bank of Ghana for the construction of that bank? And today they are saying that President Mahama has reneged on his promise to do a Women Development Bank. President Mahama has definitely made sure that processes have been put in place for that. And finally, the economy.
You've been saying finally for so long. Just to be fair, because I don't have time.
I'll be very fair. Just 30 seconds. If for anything at all, the MPP should not talk about the Ghanaian economy. Because they are the vice president who was the economic management team head who told us on 7 February 2024 that his offerings at the economic management team is not accepted by cabinets. After President Kufuor reposed confidence in him and told the country that he was the one in charge. Now he told us that he's not the one in charge. A new government has come. Nobody has mounted any podium to brag about superior economic prowess. The Bank of Ghana governor hasn't done that. The Honorable Dr. Atufosi hasn't done that. But we have seen month by month gains we've made in our economy. And I am very confident that we are far better than the MPP.
Okay.
We are far better than Kwesi and his people. And we will deliver on every promise that we've given the people of Ghana.
Kwesi, so back to that point where losses in 2024, according to the IMF, equivalent to $400 million, were attributed, of course, 1/3 of that we're told were related to gold for oil. That was in 2024. Now, the minority says that this has clearly been stated, where Gold for Oil program at that point was being blamed for losses. You seem to have skipped that. You skipped some very other vital information that is referencing the work that the NPP did in office, and you're rather pointing fingers at the Gold Board. Why are you doing that?
Bella, you see, one thing is very unfortunate. The NDC is not even reading their room. The conversation this morning is not about the work of the NPP. The NPP, we are in opposition. Granted, without admitting that we even got the Gold for Oil program wrong. Granted, without admitting. That is why we are in opposition. Really? Granted, without admitting that the BOG made any losses. That is why we are in opposition. That is why the Ghanaian people voted for your government. That come and make sure that the 400 million losses does not repeat itself. You came in, you increased the loss from $400 million to $1.7 billion. That is the research we voted for. And you sit here without any shame and blame the previous government for your predicament, for your abysmal performance, for your useless performance. This is very unfortunate. Dr. Samiaye, you shouldn't do this.
Kwesi,
what the Ghanaian people
just
are asking,
if I can ask, what is your understanding of the significant scaling up of DGPP operations that led to the losses?
Samiaye is making a point. When Samiaye made a point that we made 400 million losses as a result of the Gold for Oil program, you didn't put him to street proof.
Which is what? Because there was no scaling up here. I only read the report.
If you allow me to flow, that was very fair.
No, but you are now
allow colleagues here to flow. You allow everybody to flow. But the moment I start, you start to ask me questions. Bella, don't you want me to speak?
I want you to speak.
Don't you want me to speak?
But hold on, don't worry.
But allow me make my point. When I make my point, you can ask your question. But the moment I start, you begin to interject me. It makes me feel as if you don't want me to speak.
You listen.
Samiaye spoke for about 17 minutes uninterruptedly. You allowed Samiaye to make his speech. You allowed him to speak. You didn't interject. Please allow me make my point. I beg you, allow me make my point.
Let me ask you
allow me make my point.
I just want to read something. You asked me a question.
I have spoken under less than 50 seconds. You have asked me 3 questions.
I won't interject anymore. Don't worry. But let me just read. Now, it says that DGPP operations have generated significant losses for BOG. Losses in 2024 were equivalent to almost $400 million, 1/3 of which were related to G4 oil. Then in 2025, the significant scaling up of DGPP operations led to losses of over $1.7 billion, almost entirely related to G4R Dory purchases. And I'm just asking that, what is your understanding of scaling up? Because I was hoping that you could at least explain it to me and to viewers who may not understand and how we're relating that to the losses.
Bella, I am not here this morning to discuss the NPP program in 2024. The conversation this morning is about how the Gold Board and the Bank of Ghana has made 1.7 billion losses. That is the conversation this morning.
As a result of scaling up.
That is the conversation we should be having this morning. And not to be discussing 2024. Like I have indicated, granted without admitting the NPP made losses in 2024. That is why we are in opposition. That is why the Ghanaian people queued and voted us out of office and voted for a reset so that the losses will move from $400 million to $0 million. But what has happened? The reverse has happened. The losses has moved from $400 million to $1.7 billion, 22 billion cedis, 220 trillion odd Ghana cedis. That is what we are discussing this morning. And so, as to whether or not what the NPP did, I think that is wholly inconsequential. Because if the NPP had, in the eyes of the Ghanaian people, did it excellently and the Ghanaian people didn't have any problem with it, the NDC didn't preach a reset, that they were going to reset these BOG and Gold Board losses, the NPP wouldn't have come to office. They came into office at the back of telling the Ghanaian people that the NPP were making losses and that when they come into office, they are going to make sure that these losses or these loopholes are blocked. And what are we witnessing? We are witnessing an abysmal performance. But you see, the Gold Board cannot wash its hand of the $1.7 billion. The fact remains that we got to this point. The nation lost these monies or this billion of dollars as a result of gold trading activities, the financial architecture for gold trading activities. Who designed the program? Who authorized the program? Who ran this program? It was the Gold Board that designed the program, authorized by the Bank of Ghana, and run by the Ghana Gold Board. And so the Gold Board cannot wash its hand off the losses made by reported by the Bank of Ghana. But you see, you people should stop this heckling. Bella, you should call them to order. When they were speaking, I was very quiet, but this subtle heckling, it's not proper.
Make your points, Kwesi.
The names calling of Afenyo Makin, that Afenyo Makin has done this, has done that. Sami Gyamfi only came out to call Afenyo Makin names after Afenyo Makin reported and called for scrutiny into the BOG, the IMF report. Prior to that, Sami Gyamfi had not mentioned anywhere that Afenyo Makin was involved in a certain act. And so it was Afenyo Makin's, the Honorable Afenyo Makin's call for probity and accountability that intrigued Sami Gyamfi to now come and call him names. Why is Sami Gyamfi so jittery about the call for transparency and accountability? What does he have to hide? What does the honorable leader want to extort from him? Let's ask ourselves these critical questions. The Ghanaian people need answers to these critical questions, and not to come and call people names and tag them all manner of things, go at their credibility so that they cannot raise questions about the operations. Bella, I will repeat this again, that the cost of the 22 billion Ghana cedis lost rests on the shoulders of the Ghanaian people. It is the Ghanaian people who are going to pay for this money. In fact, if you divide 22 billion by 60 million, that is, if you add our great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-grandchildren, they are all going to pay a part of these losses. And that is what we are talking about this morning. It is not about the MPP and want to subject the conversation to what the MPP did when we were in government. Today we are in opposition. Bella, we are in opposition. The fact remains that we need questions about how Sami Gyamfi and the Bank of Ghana have sold gold and accrued 17% of losses of the monies that were given to them. We need answers as to how they were giving 11.7 billion to trade in gold and they returned home with 10 billion cedis. We need to ask those questions because we cannot let these things slide. It is very unfortunate that we are here this morning because somebody called for scrutiny, transparency, and another person is calling him all manner of names and insulting him. I don't think that is proper. I don't think that we should reduce the conversation into personality attacks. I don't think that we should reduce this conversation into name calling. The honorable leader in the minority is asking very pertinent and very serious questions that this government is making serious and huge losses that needs to be stopped. That is the conversation we need to look at this morning. And so as for the attacks of and the lies of Dr. Samiaye that the minority leader is in court because he met with the respected flag bearer and all. Is that true? I think that all these are very baseless allegations. That
so it's not true that Dr. Bamia asked him to go to court. Okay, but you didn't explain if you understand what scaling up meant, or you'd rather not speak on that.
I have made my point.
Okay, all right. Let me just give the final minutes to Lawyer Braco Powers, and then we'll have to wrap up. Unfortunately, it's already 9. It's past 9.
Yes, it is. Well, I just want to point out that this allegation is a serious one, and I'm just thinking about how Ghanaians will perceive the minority. And I'm happy, like I said, that the minority leader has taken the case to court. I would pray that the minority will recalibrate its position, and if possible, the minority leader should consider stepping aside to exhaust the legal action so as to clear himself. I think that would be a good option for him, because the thing is that if you are leading a minority with a cloak of this nature of this allegation is not a mere allegation. I've said that it imputes criminality. And it doesn't mean he has done that, and it doesn't mean he is also innocent. But I would expect him, or I'm just praying that he will look at the nature of the allegation, and because if you want to I just want a position where we will take the minority very serious in this country. So you are leading a minority with a cloak of this guilt, or not guilt or not guilt hanging on your neck, and how would Ghanaians perceive any claim pushed out by the minority? It's something that
he's trying to get the court
this is not going to be
a verdict on this.
A day's journey. This is not going to be a day's journey.
Yes.
Bella, this is not going to be a day's journey. So I'm thinking about going forward. How will people perceive the minority? They are being led by somebody who is being accused of this.
So should he be replaced? Is that what you're saying?
I'm suggesting that he should step aside. Let them get somebody to lead the minority so that they can have a front that will garner and a front that Ghanaians will respect.
Okay.
A front that Ghanaians will not hear from and say this person was accused of A, B, C, D.
So Afenyomakin should step aside as minority leader.
That would be my suggestion for him. For now, step aside, prosecute your matter or exhaust your case so that when you are cleared or you are declared victorious, then you can be able to under your case.
This is a party where
we have to go.
Somebody in prison is picking up forms to contest.
All right.
That's not chairman.
Okay. We have to go, gentlemen. Okay.
Is the only opposition party that is always fighting.
The messages are a lot. I see them.
Is that they
UP is the only
opposition party.
That is they have their exchange.
Money need money, gentlemen. Easy, gentlemen. So money need money. Good morning to you. Says that. So please ask Kwesi Botwe, what should we do? Should we bring the MPP back? Our powers never disappoints. Much respect and thanks. Patrick Kugbesika, I think it's to lawyer Bracco Powers. Goy Lolonya says that MPP just admitted your attempt to use the IMF report to do politics has failed totally. But Justice Kwanzaa says, but Bella Afenyomakin was the one threatening Sami Jemfi that he will go to jail with ridiculous bail conditions. Are you expecting Sami Jemfi to be quiet? Okay. It's a lot of messages. I wish I could read all of them, but scale up means I have made my point. Fifi Azonto. Okay. Nashiru says, never mind. I'll skip that. Yao February says, well-spoken lawyer Kwesi Botwe. Okay. NPP always trying to mislead and insult the intelligence of Ghanaians. That's Richard Kwanzaa. We'll leave it here. But thank you all so much for your messages coming in. I know that Dr. Ramsey Nusa will, is not too happy with me because he probably had a lot. Attention businesses, institutions, and service providers. I have some information for you. So the National Identification Authority, NIA, informs you that LI 2523 has introduced important changes to the way you verify your Ghana card identities. So under the new requirements, biometric verification is the principal means of confirming a Ghana card holder's identity. When verifying an identity, do not rely solely on the photograph or physical appearance of the person presenting the card. Use the NIA-approved biometric verification system. Do not photocopy, scan, retain copies or images of the Ghana card or rely on ocular inspection alone, except where permitted by law. Failure to comply is an offense and shall attract penalties of up to 2,000 penalty units for a body corporate and 1,000 penalty units for a partnership or other undertaking payable by each partner or responsible person. If your institution verifies identities on board onto the NIA's identity verification system platform, prepare your systems and your staff and comply with the new requirements before the transition period ends on the 2nd of November 2026. For onboarding support, email at idverification@nia.gov.gh, idverification@nia.gov.gh, or call 0302 999 306, 307, or 309. So again, 0302 999 306, 307 or 309. NIA, providing future solutions now. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me in the studios. I've been speaking to Dr. Ramsey Inusa. He is the Director of Research for the UP United Party. And also Dr. Sami Aye is a government spokesperson. It's good to have you in the studios, Doc. And also Kwesi Botwe. He's a lawyer, secretary, Security and Defense Committee for the NPP. I gave him more time than everyone on the show. Me guilty? No, I'm not feeling guilty at all. And then lawyer Bracco Powers. Also, Bracco Powers is a private legal practitioner.
Opposition parties also will be held accountable.
Okay, we have to go. Thank you. We'll be right back.
And we have to do sports, and the man with Mikel Obi actually welcomed him on behalf of the Republic of Ghana and the sporting fraternities here. Mutala, how are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic.
I'm good.
How is he doing, though? Has he done the podcast?
Yeah, he's done.
Okay.
It was done on Sunday.
What do you do it at the bar?
Yeah, it was pit stop at the bar with Andrea. So he interviewed Andrea.
At the bar?
Yeah, at the bar. And Andrea opened up.
I thought Andrea is a Muslim, so also put entry
not
drinking
like a bar. I mean, it was a pub, if you can say that, because they are gaming and other
there. And Andrea Yo is a Muslim. But no problem at all. No problem. Tell us, boxing. Aite Powers. I'm just hearing snipers of some. What's happening?
Again, just a few days ago, we saw a video on social media where he was issuing threats against the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Jan Pofuankra. Now, let me give you the brief version of what really happened. Sometime last year in September, there was a boxing event that Aite Powers was organizing, and around that same time was the death of Baubali. You remember the Ghanaian boxer that died. So there was a ban placed on boxing or any events that has to do with boxing. And Aite says that he incurred a lot of debt, so he had to, the monies had to be refunded to him. He went and had a meeting with the Director General, Jan Pofuankra. A video came out both saying that they've had a very, very good conversation and fruitful conversation. Then Aite started posting on social media that he's calling Yao, he's not getting through to Yao, his monies have to be refunded to him because he spent a lot, and even mentioned a figure of around $100,000 on the whole organization. Then last week we saw a video of him issuing a threat that he would shoot Jan Pofuankra if his money is not paid. Yesterday we were told that he was picked up by the police for questioning on why he issued those threats to Jan Pofuankra.
So threat of death?
Yes, of death.
So which police station is it?
Yeah, we are told that is the Accra Regional Police Command. That is where he's currently.
It's in the cells there?
Yeah, cells there.
Great.
Yeah, so
have you been able to get in touch with any of his legal representatives?
Today we'll do that. We'll establish contact with his team and see what is the latest. I was also trying to get through to Jan Pofuankra, but not really been able to be successful with that. But later in the day, I'm sure I'll establish contact with him as well.
Do we have to recall the insert threat of death as issued? It's
No,
unnecessary.
not at all. I don't think we have
sorry,
to.
Sorry. So I'm just saying it here, that's why. But more importantly, it also means that the boxing fraternity should be worried about it. Why is this a critical matter, particularly relating to the personality of Aite Powers?
It's very critical because Aite is one person who has gone into boxing promotion. We do not have a lot of promoters in Ghana, and he thought that with the loss that he's incurred, with all the money he spent promoting his boxing, he even talked about the fact that he's booked hotels and all that, and all these monies have gone down the drain. It's not encouraging to other promoters if they want to go that trend. But Jan Pofuankra says that he's always open. If you have an issue, you come to him, you have a fruitful conversation and see the way forward. Aite had several meetings with Yao, but as to why he went on that trajectory to issue threats, nobody knows. And I'm sure the police would have an idea of why he did that through the question in the state.
Right. Yeah. Now let's talk about Mikel Obi. Because you represented the Ghana delegation to receive him at the airport.
Yeah, I welcomed him at the airport. Such a fantastic guy. I mean, he was at the pit stop bringing his podcast to Ghana for the first time. He's been into Africa before. The first time was in Nigeria last year. Then this time he brought it to Ghana, interviewed Andre Ayew, spoke about a number of things. But after that interview, TV3 managed to get an exclusive with Mikel Obi. Michael Otieje sat down with him for about 15 minutes. And one of the things or the highlights of everything that happened at the event is Andre Ayew and his ambition to maybe enter football administration, because people were circulating rumors that he wants to be GFA president. Yeah, Oti actually asked Mikel what he thinks about Andre Ayew, and he said some very interesting stuff.
He's somebody who speaks his mind. He's somebody who says it how it is, and that's how I like people to always be honest, be truthful, and say the right things, the things that we need to change, and how we have to have things to be done. And he's a bit like me. We have to change things. When you need to change things, you have to be vocal about it. You have to say it. And I enjoyed it. He's a great guy, a great human being, not just as a player, as a human being. I got to know him a bit more now. Lovely guy, a guy from a good family, a humble family, a guy who wants to see things done properly, see the game run properly, and see the game grow. And I believe, I don't know what his objectives are, but I believe you can tell from today the way he spoke. He's somebody who cares about the game, who cares about Ghanaian football and African football, and wants to see the game develop and do well. And I just have to say a massive thank you to him. And if he decides one day that he wants to run for the president of Ghana football, I think he will do well, because you can tell with the passion and the vision that he has, that he wants to see Ghanaian football move further and continue to grow.
And since you were his fixer in town, let me ask, where was the location for the shoot?
Pit stop inside Labone.
Okay. I always watch it. That's Obi-Wan, right?
podcast.
Yeah, I always watch it.
He speaks his mind.
And
I've
subscribed to the channel as well, just like
you
Michael's
also
channel.
open up to a lot of things. People didn't know he was even the CEO of Narnia FC, his father's football team. And it was a revelation. He also spoke about the fact that he didn't want to play at the World Cup. He says his main target was to play at the 2025 AFCON. So when Ghana failed to qualify and he had stories about he wanting to play the World Cup and all that, he was a bit disappointed.
I tell you what, looking at what the Europeans have done, and then the Northern Africans and Senegal have done also with their former players, I don't think it's a bad thing if we have some of our former players try to enter into football administration.
Not at
because they've trained and then also encountered as well as operated in some of the best administered clubs. And so if we want anybody to bring some level of professionalism and bring the game, get the buy-in of the world international body as well as the pool of players internationally, it has to be former players.
I think, it's in the right order, because with all these experiences that you've gathered from playing, sitting in meetings and all that, you should bring it to bear. You can't just, and I always tell people, no matter what you do, the IU family is a football family. They would occupy...
They go school too. In France, you did learn for the school.
Of course.
Because they were eligible to play for the French junior teams.
Yes, of course. And Jordan, for instance, there was a point where the French under-20 team wanted him to play. Then Ghana had
as well as IU.
Ghana had to snap him out. It's a football family. They would always be involved in our
dominating.
Football, of course. Even Jordan's kids are playing football at the moment in academy.
Same on TikTok.
Maybe in the next 10, 15 years, we'll see them in the Black Star. So it's a football family, and I would be happy to see them, occupy positions in our game.
Fantastic. Your children should not become journalists.
Well, that is.
Let's go to the
discussion for another day.
Let's go to women's football.
Hey,
we have Ampem Dakwa.
The Wafu B Ampem Dakwa trying to qualify for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The last time out, we had police ladies go. They failed to qualify. It wasn't a good one for them. So yesterday, Ampem Dakwa, who are attempting to qualify for the Women's Africa Cup, the Women's Champions League, won their game by a goal to nil against ASEC Mimosas. So it's a good step for them. On Thursday, they will play another game against Garde National from Niger. Should they win that game, it means that they've also qualified to the next stage of the competition. Now, can be looking at sealing a place in the Women's Champions League that will come up later this year. But we are hopeful. Ampem Dakwa, Ghana Women's Premier League champions, representing us in Ivory Coast.
Who owns the team?
Ampem Dakwa is owned by people in the Bono. It's a collection of people that are managing Ampem Dakwa.
Congratulations to them as well. And we hope that when they move on next to meet the Nigerian team, they'll be able to do very well. You think they are poised to be in a position where they can win the game?
And there's that hunger and desire, because they've played the Women's Champions League before, and they know the benefits of being there when the world is looking at you. So they would want to go there again.
Yeah, my team Chelsea. Let's talk Premiership.
It hurts me to say this, but it looks like Chelsea have some fiery in them. They started on a wonderful note yesterday against Fulham, just under a supposed curse of the number 9 jersey. This guy takes the number 9 jersey, and within 40 seconds in the game, he opens the score. This could be named the Premier League Player of the Season today at the Pre-FA Awards. So let's see what happens with that one as well.
Well, certainly. But since the post-Mourinho era, by the time we get to December, we're in trouble. We start so well.
It's been very difficult. But there's something that is happening at Chelsea this season. The owners who came in have changed their modus operandi. It's not about just bringing in talent and selling them when it doesn't go well. They changed the transfer policy. And with the players that came in, clearly you could see this was from the manager, Xabi Alonso, requesting for specific players. So it's not like the wholesale buy that Chelsea did some 2 seasons ago, bring in players, and if it doesn't go well, find a way of selling them and all that. It's changed. They are beginning to realize that the football sometimes matter. It's not all about the cash.
That consistency is very important.
And Chelsea are not playing in the Champions League. 1 game a week could be a positive sign for them.
All right. Now, we know that one of your guys, 3 Sports, celebrating the birthday.
Rabbi Edweji.
Yeah,
Rabbit. Solid guy. The one who is behind everything that you see on the morning show.
Rabbi Edweji.
Yeah, Rabbi Edweji. I mean, I've seen you play with him sometimes. He's a solid
great
producer.
Guy. He does great analysis as well.
I tell you as well. Yeah. I mean, he's
and here we sent him on a holiday. Please go back. Media General sent him on a holiday.
It was the retreats that 3 Sports went, and he was having a good time. And we all went to ease down, learn a lot of things, and that is what you're seeing. He's such a solid guy. Happy birthday to him. He's behind everything that we do on the morning show with the sports, and he'll continue to get better. Under Michael Otieje, there's always that room to go further and hit your ceiling.
Yeah, that is if you do right.
Of course.
Michael is always
perfectionist.
Very strong on his benchmarks.
Of course.
But Rabbi Edweji, happy birthday to you, great guy, and always keep bettering yourself and contributing to the lot for 3 Sports. But we can get the latest sports updates.
Of course, 3 Sports GH10 would be back with the Sports Daily.
You're a fantastic guy. Has Obi Mikel gone?
Well, he's making a few
rounds. Still around. Fantastic. Mutala. We're taking a break. When we come back, we have to bring you more right here on TV3 Newday. Stay with us. We'll right back.
non-communicable diseases. Now, we started this conversation earlier on the This Morning segment, and I see some of you have sent in your messages about what we need to do and what we need not to do. The fact is that about 43% of deaths are caused by non-communicable diseases. These diseases include the hypertension, diabetes, and the many other diseases that are sometimes caused by our lifestyle. So we want to talk about the things that we can do to limit our exposure, so to speak, to these illnesses. The foods that we eat, the environment we live in, and our daily behaviors. Let's talk about it. Call your family. Call your husband, your wife, your friends, your colleagues, and ask them to listen to this conversation, because your health is just as important as the health of the people you love and the people in your life. To have this conversation this morning, I am pleased to be joined in studio from the FDA, the Food and Drugs Authority. I have with me Senior Regulatory Officer Desmond Parkwesi Hackman. Good morning, sir. Great to have you in studio.
Thank you.
And also from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, public health practitioner, James McKeon Amwa. He's a registered nurse and, yes, a public health practitioner. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much.
May I say that you both look like a definition of good health?
Thank you.
Yeah, you look like you look like you eat well, you sleep well, you exercise. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Because you can't give what you don't have. So you are living it out, so you can also get.
What exactly do you do?
So I eat 3 times a day.
Okay.
I don't usually eat in the night. I make sure I have enough rest. I drink more water because I work in the dialysis unit. I know how water is important for the kidneys. And I exercise at times also. So that's what I do.
Yeah. How about you, Hackman?
Nah,
Well, let me start by saying that I'm a dietitian.
You're a dietitian.
So it says a lot.
Oh.
If I'm supposed to teach people how to eat well, then I have to be a reflection of it. And so I do my very best. You know, sometimes it becomes a bit difficult sometimes to follow exactly. I am particular about timing, but there are times when I miss meals. But I do my best to stay within appropriate meal timing and then meal size.
What's appropriate meal timing?
Appropriate meal timing is measuring how long you've stayed without eating and eating your first meal and continuing periodically. Periodically means that if you ate in the morning and you've not eaten, you're expected that you're supposed to eat in the afternoon. Expected. That is averagely, all right? Expected in the afternoon and eat in the evening. But for some people, their level of physical activity is like that. They may have to eat more than the 3 times. And others will have to eat less. So it's open. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Okay.
However, generally, it's expected that you eat 3 times a day. Now, when it's appropriate, it starts from the first meal.
Breakfast.
When you sleep, generally, it is assumed that you are fasting because your body does not stop working. The brain is everything. You are declared dead only when the brain stops working. And so the brain keeps working. That's why you can scratch your back even when you're asleep. It means that your body is still active. So when you wake up, you're supposed to break the fast. But then most people would rather wait till some other time, and some will give it excuses, exigencies of work, and some will say, I don't feel like eating. Yeah. That's a bad habit. It has a lot of implications on us.
How long are we supposed to fast for?
So then the question is, how long are you supposed to sleep? It is said that the appropriate time for appropriate period of sleep is 1/3 of the day.
Is that 9
most
hours?
Appropriate. No, 8.
8.
Yes.
For adults.
Yes, for
6, 7
adults.
is fine also.
Is that for us? Is that also for people who work?
Everybody. Of course, it's general. All right. So
and
it's
people
a general.
who have children.
Of course.
And people who live in Kaswa.
So you see,
and work in Accra.
That is why I'm saying that sometimes because of exigence of time, work and all that is difficult. However, you have to try and make time for rest, even if you are not able to sleep. So the rest is sleep is part of rest, but not the same. When you're not doing what you do normally, relaxed, like this, it's also a form of rest. Remember, sleep, apart from helping to regenerate the body cells for continued digestion of food, all the other things that need to continue without, when you are not working, sleep is also good for ensuring that your level of exposure to stresses Stresses are the things that cause stress are minimized.
Okay.
And so it's always good that we are talking about NCDs because stress is also part of one of the risk factors.
Okay, now let's break it down. Okay, what are NCDs? What are non-communicable diseases?
So there are diseases that we cannot pass on from one person to the other directly. So unlike COVID, flu, and the others, these are mostly lifestyle conditions. So talk about the cardiovascular conditions, stroke, for example, diabetes, hypertension, cancers, other mental health as one of the NCDs. And I read just 2 days ago that obesity has been included as one of the NCDs. So basically, there are those conditions that we develop based on our lifestyle. And if you look at the data we just shared in Ghana, about 47% of death are from NCDs. And for me, I work in the dialysis and I see children now who are developing kidney failure. I've seen, it used to be the disease of the elderly, but now getting younger people, those within their prime, 19 to 45, falling for these cancers, go to our OPDs. All those you see with hypertension, diabetes are younger people. And so there are a number of factors leading to it. One of them I'll talk about is our lifestyle. So lack of physical activity is one of them. Aging, as we age, our body goes through a lot of stress, and so we break down a number of organs to break down. So we expect that aging should be a major risk factor for NCDs. And also talk about unhealthy diet, which we'll focus more of our discussion on. Because if you don't eat right, the body doesn't get the right or the needed energy to work with. The body doesn't get the right vitamins they need to be able to keep you active and alive. So if you don't eat, we eat food that is high in sugar, high in salt, high in what we call unhealthy diet. It has a major effect on you. And also talk about what you mentioned about drug abuse. So those who smoke tobacco increase their risk for NCDs. Alcohol consumption. Previously, they used to say that what red wine was good, a little amount of alcohol was good for the body, but now the WHO says no. No amount of alcohol is good for the body.
When did that change?
Yeah, I think it's been about 2 years.
No amount of alcohol is safe for the body.
No, there's not that safe.
Zero.
Yeah.
So don't drink at all.
Yes, as much as possible, don't. But then in some countries like the UK, Europe, what they do is that because they know it's almost difficult. I mean, there's a market on this one, and so it has patrons. So they have put on the labels of alcohol, alcoholic beverages, how much of that drink you're supposed to take. All right, at least for a week, this is how much you're supposed to take. That way to guide people. It doesn't mean that that amount of alcohol is safe, but at least reduce your level
not so much. And I'm sure alcohol also contributes to a lot of the kidney-related matters that you deal with at the dialysis
Diabetes
center.
also one of the major risk factors because one taking alcohol, it just goes into the blood, the body absorbs it and then increase of blood sugar. The other content in it, that also affect the entire body.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that we cause.
Let's talk about the food that we eat and how it contributes to NCDs. There was a time when we were eating at home. It's a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
Now, the best you get is to eat at home once.
Yeah.
That's if you do at all.
Yeah.
And I think I speak for most people.
Mostly on weekends.
Yeah, when I say that. So we are buying a lot of our food off the shelves. We're drinking a lot of carbonated drinks.
Yeah.
A lot of even our proteins are canned and tinned now.
Yeah.
What are some of the things we need to consider with the possible effects on our health and NCDs when we are buying food?
So you talked about unhealthy diet and broke it down by the components of unhealthy diet. Unhealthy diet, from the get-go, a summary of all the things you mentioned, the ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods are the ones that you find out there on the shelves. You talked about the foods in the can. The food in the can is preserved the way we traditionally preserve our food. So there are components in there that are similar to the salt you put in fish to make hobi. That salt in itself also contributes to the sodium you take into your body. Now, if ordinarily you are eating wache, you are eating your fufu, there will also be sodium in there. Even the natural foods, with those that are naturally unprocessed, even that you have some amount of sodium. So imagine if you are taking ultra-processed foods in addition, whether it's biscuit, whether it's chocolate, all that. What it means is that you are increasing your level of sodium, and sodium has been linked to hypertension. And therefore cardiovascular disease. That's an example. Then today, it is in vogue. You have to belong. And so you have to buy I mean, in a week, it's most likely that you eat from a restaurant. Why are the popular restaurant chains now in Africa, when others are developing their food environment, and so people, they are losing their patronage there. Now they are coming to Africa. And we are also buying into it because it's become a sign of good lifestyle.
Affluence.
Because you think that you have to belong. It means that people go there just because of Snapchat. So, you know, the exposure to that. Ask what goes in there, what goes in the food they eat, they buy. It is saturated fat, trans fat, sodium. These high amounts, and then high sugar intake from sugar sweetened beverages. These are the classic risk factors for all the diseases he's mentioned. They are documented, evidence-based. There's no argument about it. And so it is because we have transitioned from our traditional whole foods, wholesome meals, now to ultra-processed meals. Even if it is that which is not packaged, it is still ultra-processed because of what has been put in there. The bulk of the carbohydrates, as far as those foods are concerned, are refined. It means that the amount of fiber in there is very limited. You see, so when we say unhealthy diet, you're referring to the bad ingredients. Then the fact that you're also limiting the intake of the good ingredient, that is high fiber. If you were eating your konkonte, if you're eating your fufu, if you're eating your ampesi, you get fiber from these, apart from the accompaniment, which is the abomu that you eat. I mean, there were times when people were even taking ampesi with okra, ground. I don't know whether you've eaten that before, but you see,
never have I ever.
Okay, but I'm sure people have. I mean, in different Ghanaian cultures, they have different foods that will be presented as high-rich meals. All right. So once we are losing all these and you're exposing yourself to the bad ingredients, obviously the level of NCDs will go up.
So
that is why we are
okay. You have transitioned eating habits to now eating more like the Westerners. And it starts from childhood. So child is going to school, is giving snacks. They go to school, the food they're giving at school is noodles and things. They are not giving them the food that we actually give them in the house. And they'll grow to like them. And children are appreciating their parents, develop a taste for it. That's the issue you have.
Now, let's talk about the foods we are eating properly, because we all agree that we are buying our foods off the shelf. How can we tell when we pick up something off the shelf that this thing that I am buying is good? First of all, once it's on the shelf, it means that FDA has approved for it to be there. And if FDA is approving for it to be there, it means that it's good for us. Because all our ads say vetted and approved by the FDA. Now our children are reciting it too. Okay. So once it's on the shelf, then FDA has approved that I can eat it. Is that correct?
Okay. When you find a food on the shelf, it will have an FDA number. Ordinarily, you expect to see an FDA number, meaning that the FDA has given market authorization for its sale. Means that the food is safe for you to eat. But the FDA is not saying that you should go and buy the food. No, listen. So it's your choice to buy. All right? That's number one. The FDA puts a soft drink on, gives market authorization for you to sell. You go out there and pick that drink. How is the FDA to blame? The FDA is not at fault. If it's a biscuit, the FDA is not at fault. What you must know is that FDA has ensured that the food is safe. And even if it has to do with the component you are referring to, the FDA ensures that they meet standard requirement. Remember, the standards are developed by Ghana Standards, and so we enforce them. However, the choice is yours. The responsibility is yours. So if...
I have a challenge with this submission.
Why do you have a challenge?
Because when you go out of your way to tell me that this thing that I'm buying is vetted and approved by the FDA.
Is the advert?
Which FDA?
Is the advert is FDA approved.
The advertising of this product is vetted and approved by the FDA. And so the FDA is aware of this product, all right? And the FDA has a mandate to ensure the safety of the food that I consume. Now, we're talking about non-communicable diseases and the fact that the foods that we eat contribute to a very large extent to us getting these diseases. And so when I have at the back of my mind that the FDA has approved this thing and I can go ahead and consume it. And then you still say that it is my choice to consume it or not. There was a time when we were told that tobacco is bad for your health.
Yeah.
It is written on the
Yes.
the container
box, yeah.
of
So you have to
the
know.
cigarette. So we know. In the same vein, why is the FDA not warning us about these drinks that you mentioned, these biscuits that you mentioned? So you say it's vetted and approved by the FDA, but please know that this is high calorie dense, or it's low in fiber, or there's too much saturated fat or whatever. And so if you buy it, then you buy it at your own risk. Why is the FDA not doing this for us?
I'm happy you used the tobacco example. In the case of tobacco, FDA still give market authorization for you to sell tobacco.
Yes.
However, you have the insignia, I mean, all the symbols are there. Even the heart that is burning is there, right? Burnt heart is there. Now, what you are asking is that we should have a symbol on the product. That is one of the main reasons we're here. So currently, Ghana has been able to develop, or is almost done developing a legal framework that would now mandate that every food product, whether imported or locally produced, should have a symbol based on the composition, a symbol that would denote its healthfulness. So you see, there are two different things, healthfulness and safety. FDA's mandate up till this point, and I should say that until we're able to put that legal framework out there, FDA's mandate has been that we ensure that the food is safe. Now, when it comes to healthfulness, determining whether this food is safe, is healthful or not, you need a legal framework. Remember, FDA's work is an interplay of science and law. That is why we are an authority. So the science says that, the food contains this amount of sugar, this amount of saturated fat, but you need a legal framework to be able to enforce it. Without that, remember, we had to go to the Supreme Court, as far as the Supreme Court, to deal with
alcohol,
Mark Darlington and co. Yes, we all know what alcohol does. But then when we were trying to even control it, even when there was a legal framework, we saw what happened. We have to go and defend ourselves at the Supreme Court. So imagine if there wasn't any at all. Then it means the FDA will have to stop its work and be going to court all the time. So fortunately, thanks to Professor La and the University of Ghana and the Ministry of Health and all the other partners, you've been able to develop a legal framework. It's called the Ghana Double Duty Nutrient Profiling System. So it's a Ghana-specific, evidence-based structure. Data that will help us be able to identify foods by its composition, that it is safe, it is healthful or is not. And that if it's not healthful, you are mandated to put the insignia there. So anybody who sees it, I know that this food will not be good for me.
Does that include color coding the foods?
Yes.
So if I went to a restaurant, red means high in fat, yellow means low in fat, green means low in sugar.
Let me say that for now.
That's exactly what we are doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you take the front of pack labeling policy, which we are working on now, it will have that symbol. So once you go to the shelf, we see that this one is high in sugar. So if you are going to buy it, you know you are going to buy one.
So that you are responsible for your own choices. How about the restaurant chains?
I didn't make a point. There's a point you raised. If they can approve a product, but it doesn't mean it's poisonous, right? But as you continue consuming, the more you consume, the more your risk increases.
But what is poison?
Poison is something that can kill you.
Exactly.
But the point I'm making is that it is food.
Yeah.
If I drink a soft drink, so if somebody goes low sugar right now, and I give the person a soft drink, the person will come up to life. So it's not poison. But regular consumption will increase our risk for developing these NCDs I'm talking about. So it's about how we get ourselves to be measured, to make a choice as to what I can eat and what I cannot eat. I must make that choice myself, all right?
Yes.
We can't give that to somebody to make that choice.
I understand. Right? While I understand that, we also have so much confidence and trust in the FDA that once you say something is safe, then it ends there for most people. I started counting calories only 9 years ago. Before 9 years ago, I had never read a label of anything.
Why were not?
All I was checking for was expiry date.
Expiry date.
Why were you not reading it?
Because I did not know.
You didn't understand that.
You didn't know that you have to read.
I did not know that I was required to check the amount of calories, carbohydrates, and all of that. I started only 9 years ago.
Even with that, it's difficult to understand what you read. That's why I'm bringing this policy to tell us we just color code. So if I see red, I don't have to have the knowledge that
would be helpful.
9,000 calories is
So that's
bad.
what we are getting to. For now, you asked the question, what happens to the foods?
The restaurant chains.
Unfortunately, the legal framework now, that which we are looking forward to, does not cover that.
Why?
We will need to do further research. You know, what we did before we even came by, that's what we have now. What the structure we use to determine whether the food is safe, it's healthful or not. That we had to provide evidence. Right. And evidence means that gather as much data as possible from our food basket, not what has been done elsewhere. So what we did was that we thought globally, but we acted locally, making sure that the data fits Ghana's food basket. And so we'll have to do that.
But that
too, because
it's taken us so many years to get this framework, and we couldn't make it an all-encompassing one. So when would we? Because every new Monday we see a new fast food joint springing up,
Exactly.
and I've talked about this publicly that our chop bars are not springing up, but these fast food joints are springing up, and the crowds. And the children and how much they ask for it, and the beautiful billboards which are vetted and approved by the
about the billboards, about the beautiful billboards. And so let me say that the FDA has really increased its interest. I'm using the word increase adversely for as far as nutrition of the food. So you are concerned about the FDA is not interested, or as if everybody is interested in the components. That's what you're referring to. The food is just safe. It's not that.
The healthfulness.
Yeah, the healthfulness. Yeah. Now the FDA has, the FDA has increased its interest in that nutrition, that sector, so well that we have revised our guidelines. Okay. So the guidelines that took us to court, we've even strengthened it. We've made it even stronger. Now, within 200 meters from schools, from the crèche up till secondary schools, you cannot have sweet beverages displaying all over the place. You can't.
All right. I think this conversation needs another hour or so.
Two things I need to mention. Okay. One of them, there's another policy called the food-related fiscal policies, where we're using taxes to make the food expensive. So we don't have many people buying the food, and then the risk goes down.
Then it becomes a problem for rich people.
So yes, they have the money to afford that. And the very final one is the marketing restriction we've spoken about. And then finally, government, we call it public food procurement, where government agencies must buy healthy food and not healthy food.
I've been told that I have to end this conversation now, but I was just, we were just getting into it. But thank you so much for coming. I'm hoping that Shadrach, can we please revisit this conversation next Tuesday? Okay, thank you, Shadrach. So Shadrach says we can continue next Tuesday.
All right.
So please make a date with us next Tuesday. We'll continue this conversation. But we should applaud the FDA for this new legal framework that we are hoping will take flight soon to help us. But until then, we still have a lot of questions for you, FDA. Yeah, especially young entrepreneurs who have small food businesses. They have a lot of questions for you. And so next week, you will help us. Next week, you will help us with the answers. But thank you for watching our show today. You have to forgive me. We can't bring you your birthdays today. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I know you were waiting. I'm sorry. Tomorrow we'll make time to add today's birthdays to tomorrow's birthdays. But this conversation is an important one, and we had to have it. My name is Na Ashakor. I've been on the show today with Bella Mundi and Roland Walker. This has been TV3 Newday.